Jay Dobbins, and I love the 99% Radio Network. Do yourself a favor and start listening today, right now, and every day. Tune into these guys and make yourself better.
Welcome to Making a Difference Wednesday in the Fishbowl, right here on the 99% Radio Network with Sideshow 12 and Mongo. Man, we got an epic show for you today, man. It's going to be a friend of ours show. Man, this show is brought to you by the Veterans Resource and Outreach Center, located at 4210 Industrial Street in Rowlett, Texas. The V-Rock and Life Message have been dedicated to serving our veterans and their families and the surrounding communities for over 20 years. They are a no-border agency, which means no matter where you live on this great planet, the V-Rock doors are open to all. Some of their services include food and clothing assistance, job readiness and placement, transition support, medical claims, and much, much more. Visit them at www.lifemessage.org/veteran and see how they can serve you today. Or stop in Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you ride, man, don't forget to grab your Microdot helmet from the Microdot Helmet Company and Scoot Dog Motorcycle Leather and Gear. You know having a proper helmet is very important, so comfort, lightweight, and DOT approval is key. The Microdot helmet fits all three categories. Weighing less than a bottle of water with an easy on and off ratchet strap, this design makes it perfect for all riders. Visit Mad Dog Mike at Scoot Dog Motorcycle and Gear for all your riding needs. They are located conveniently at 780 Debbie Lane in Mansfield, Texas, or visit them on the web at www.scootdog, that's SKOOT dog.com, or at www.microdothelmet.com and get your new helmet today. Use discount code 99%RN and receive a special offer off your purchase. Microdot, the world's smallest and lightest DOT helmet. Oh man, welcome guys. How you guys doing?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Doing great, man. I'm going nuts because came off a great show the other night. I was on Big Box Comedy. Rob Goldsmith and Deanna Goldsmith put on this great variety show. I was honored to be part of that show. A couple of guys from Third Watch came down, a couple of the brothers and sisters, and it was a lot of fun, man. If you could ever, you hear about a Big Box Comedy show, you got to get out there and check it out. It was so much fun. A lot of great comics, a lot of good acts. A musician, magician, and a ventriloquist. Yes, that's how you say it. The guy who talks through dolls. It was pretty funny, right? Mongo was in the audience, man. What'd you think, bro?
It was a good show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
we had a good time.
Well, don't show so much enthusiasm. It's not like talking about Dr. Pepper.
You said guys that talk to dolls. I was saying when 12 wasn't there.
He's practically gushing. Are you kidding me?
No, it was a really good show, man. I had a lot of fun. I want to thank Rob and Deanna once again for putting on a great entertainment venue. So
are you going to do a quick reveal?
I'm wearing my Omega Gamma Delta fraternity hat that John F. and Walsh wanted me to wear to cover my bald scalp, but I'm going to take it off. I put it on for the beginning of the show and to represent my Omega brothers. But here we go. I'll take it off. There we go. Woohoo! It's a little cold, man. My head's got a little cold.
Hey, welcome to the club.
Bald is beautiful, baby.
Yeah. Melinda McClendon hosted Walk the Bridge at Heroes Memorial Bridge, hosted and put together and organized a breast cancer awareness walk this week, Sunday. And I told her I would be more than happy to shave my head. She shared a story with me that was just heartbreaking, that when she was battling breast cancer, she had lost her hair and that she would have to go to work. You know, she didn't have the money for a wig or anything else, so she had to go to work, and she was kind of looked at a little differently. As a waitress in the bar atmosphere. You know, when you're working in retail like that, people seem to, especially with the females, they look and they go, "Oh my God, why is she bald? Is she sick?" Either they're going to give you that pity face, or they're going to say, "Oh, she's trying to make a statement. What is this girl trying to be?" You know, so. It's hard enough going to work every day and trying to make everybody happy without the looks and the stares of other people. And, you don't want other people to know your business as well, and your battles. So that's why I shaved my head, to show that, you know what, we all have our battles. We all need to support and bring awareness. And we took a lot of donations. We raised probably close to $2,400 so far. Our donation page is still open until the 31st of this month. But all that money raised is going to go to help a few families within the Rockwall and Rowlett area that are battling cancer. We could give that money to a big corporation slush fund to go to cancer research. But, we talked it over and we said, it's better to maybe fill somebody's refrigerator or provide transportation for a couple of weeks, or child care, or, anything the family needs that will help them out. House cleaning service. I think that will be better off spending the money that way. It will help out those families that we can donate that money to. And due to the new Third Watch Rowlett chapter, the FFVET chapter that just branched off, they donated had a company donate 2 wigs for some of the women that are going through chemo and radiation right now, that may be a little self-conscious. So we're going to deliver those wigs to them as just to help out.
Well, it was a real stand-up thing for you to do, brother. This is the second time that you've stepped up and donated your hair in one form or fashion. You went blue for the Back to Blue rallies, and now you've gone bald, and welcome to the bald side.
You can tell I'm really not worried about my appearance, right? No, it's, and that's what it should be. It's, we all take, everybody's a little vain every once in a while, but you know what, when it comes to humanity and it comes to a human life, there's no steps, no boundaries, no nothing that I won't do to make someone's life just a little bit better.
We've heard that about you.
Well, hey, that's God's path, bro. It's God's path.
I was being
sarcastic. I know, and I just blew you off.
I know, but truthfully though, you are the man when it comes to that, and you raised $2,400. You're going to help a couple families.
We raised
$2,400. You sacrificed your hair for a good cause, and you're always a good sport about that. And
I tell you, I've been getting some compliments on this. They said it looks better than my hair. They said now I don't know, but I got a good round head and no dents in it, I guess.
I told you, you look like the Kevin Spacey version of Lex Luthor.
Do not put me in the same boat as Kevin Spacey, okay? All right. Put me in with Kojak. Put me in with anybody else. Any other how about The Rock? Put me in with The Rock. I'll get a tan.
No,
not The Rock. You're
stretching it there.
Come on, really?
David Jordan, he says he likes the look. He went bald recently.
David did for the Patriot
charity
camp.
as well. Yep, sure did.
I watched a video the other night, and the Patriot Sandwich Company over in Denton. We had a great event out there. We had over 100 bikes to support David and the Sandwich Company. And I watched the video yesterday. I forgot the guy's name, but he had that Admiral Challenge. He did the
could you believe that?
That Sandwich Admiral Challenge. Man, I was so impressed with that. And you get a nice challenge coin, and you get your name on the wall. But that's 5 pounds, 10 ounces of meat and sandwich and cookies, and Man, this guy was a champ. If go onto the Patriot Sandwich Company page, this guy, man, he downed that in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, he finished that, and they give you 45. He was a champ.
Did you see how big that dude was, too, though?
Yeah, he was on his knees. He wasn't even sitting at a chair. He was on his knees.
The guy was a monster. I mean, that was probably like a snack for him. But, man. Talking about Patriot Sandwich Company, we had a good ride up there, too, this past Saturday. Had I counted roughly 103 bikes.
Didn't I just say that?
Did I miss something? What the hell?
Yeah. Do you listen to me?
I do.
Do you listen when I talk?
This is, you know what? This is weird.
He's thinking about himself and how he can promote himself.
Talk about being vain.
Yeah.
I wasn't promoting myself.
No, you're thinking about it.
No, I wasn't.
Hey, why don't you just introduce our guest?
This is the second time that this happened today to me, though. Me and him had a conversation on the way over here.
Oh yeah,
about
I told him right off the bat when we got in the truck. I asked him a question about the show that was on TV last night. Had a little conversation with him as we pull into the stadium. He goes, "Hey, did you watch that show last night?" Dude, are you kidding me?
I have no memory of it.
You know.
No, I'm not kidding you.
I want to contribute that to being a typical Raiders fan.
No, I'm not. I'm not joking.
I've got the excuse. He's got no excuse.
That's right.
And we did. We had that conversation, and then something.
It's happened a couple of times with me and you. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No,
I mean,
you don't have to apologize.
I'm sorry. I that did not stick in my head.
Me and Mongo know we all have that one certain special friend. And
not know I'm special.
Listen, we have an amazing show today.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It's going to be really epic. Why don't you tell our listening audience about it?
Well, do you want me to introduce?
Yes. Of course.
So you want Thomas or TJ?
Either one works.
Which you prefer?
Either one works.
All right. So
I'm known as both. So.
In the studio with us today, we've been trying to get the Law Tigers, Texas Law Tigers. You run into them everywhere. We run into them as far away as Missouri, up in Arkansas. We see them around a bunch of events around DFW. So we got Thomas from the Law Tigers. Is it Texas or Dallas Law Tigers?
Well, up here it's Law Tigers Dallas. That's just to differentiate us. We've actually got 4 marketing guys out here in Texas, so we try to separate each other a little bit for the different regions. But Law Tigers Dallas is what I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and all that.
Excellent. So we're going to have Thomas on with us, I think, for the duration of the show. He's going to hang out and help us co-host today. And then this is going to be a pretty good show. It's a little different for us, but we're going to have via Skype, we're going to have Larry Mazza, author of the book The Life. It's about his life as a made guy
in the underworld,
in the American Mafia. He was a member of the Columbo family, and the good friend, I guess, protege. I'm not sure which word he'll use, of Gregory Scarpa, and a lot of people that follow the genre, American Mafia, organized crime, that kind of stuff. They'll know Gregory Scarpa's name. They can always Google him as well. And then later on in the hour, we're going to Skype in with the former underboss of the Gambino crime family, Sammy the Bull Gravano. He is now a technical advisor, I guess, for television. I guess that's what you call it.
And he's got a podcast.
And he's got a podcast going as well. And he'll be talking about that. He's advising on an upcoming show. I guess we'll let him talk about it because I guess we don't want to give away too much. But it's about 2 rogue NYPD detectives that worked for the mob back in the day. And if you
ever read the book Mafia Cops, that Mafia Cops is all about
Louis Ippolito and
Stephen
Caracappa.
Yeah, Caracappa.
And so we'll be talking to him about that in as much detail as
well, you know, I got a close relationship. Well, not a close relationship, but I have a relationship with the Ippolito family through my ex-wife. That was her first cousin. And when my father-in-law used to, talk about him when I got on the job, talked about him a lot. And kind of said, hey, you may want to steer away from that guy.
Well, just to kind of set the stage for those that are watching on Facebook Live and listening in on fbrn.us, we've been kind of wanting to do a show like this for a while now because without going into too many details again, everybody knows Sideshow's retired NYPD, and he worked during his tenure there, organized crime, and he has some interesting stories. And the long story short is our guest and Sideshow, pounded some of the same pavement. Probably know, although the eras are a little bit different.
Right.
They probably know a lot of the same folks, at least in passing. And we thought it would make for some great conversation. I know, having read Larry's book, he's very open, about his time there and all that happened back then. And of course, I've never talked to Sammy, so I don't know exactly how that'll go, but it'll be interesting for sure.
I just want to put it out there too. A lot of people have, and I'll tell you this from working in organized crime, a lot of people have a big misconception about the American Mafia. We try to discredit perception, right? Being the 99% radio network, as law-abiding motorcyclists, right? We want to try to distance ourselves a little bit from the 1% clubs, right? Although we still respect as a brotherhood, the perception is always bled over to us on our way we look. If we wear in our cuts, we're always looked at as a 1% group, right? Because people don't really know what the 99% of motorcycle community does. And with the Mafia and the La Costa Nostra and all that, I mean, the perception from those who don't know it is always bad. And I know firsthand that's not always the case. That is not the case in this.
So what was kind of interesting? I had a lengthy conversation with Larry leading up to the show, and follow him on Facebook. Had multiple conversations with him. He's actually a very conservative guy, and we were talking about something you and I talked about how when you're dealing with made guys that are running a neighborhood or a crew or whatever, their respect for the honest beat cop. Now, their opinion of the feds is probably 100% different, and we all get that, but their respect for the guy on the street that's out there doing his job, at least that, speaking just about him in my conversations with him, because I asked him that question. I said, how did you guys relate to the cop on the street? He said, respected him. One of his very best friends.
And it was vice versa.
Yeah.
It was vice versa.
It was just kind of like we do. You run into 1% club out on the road, you show respect, you get respect back, and everybody knows who everybody is,
right? And it was a cat and mouse game, and it was always, and I was in narcotics for a while, and before I got transferred over to the organized crime unit, and I tell you, I'll deal with the guys in organized crime 365 days a year before I would want to deal with a drug dealing guy in narcotics, because there is that respect level. There is that business relationship, if you will, in the narcotics field, in the drug dealing field, where you have lowlifes and shooting up the street and shooting up innocent people. That is not what the American Mafia or the American families were about. They were, it was not about that. And that's what the perception, people get the perception that that's the way they are, and they're not. They're family men, they're dads, they're husbands, that's what they are. And sometimes they're portrayed in the wrong way. So,
well, it's going to be an interesting conversation.
It is. I can't wait. So, you got some. You want to get some of those events taken out of the way first before we end up Skyping in with Larry?
Yeah, let me hit him real quick. Give me just a second to get over to him. And
while you're doing that, he forgot to mention that Thomas brought in some very nice swag.
Yes, and I'm wearing it.
T-shirt. You're wearing the sweatshirt right now.
I'm wearing the sweatshirt already, man, and it fits like a glove.
Appreciative of that. Thank you very much.
Hey, can you stand up and turn around so you can see the back of it?
Oh, there's a back?
There's something on the back.
The logo on the back's actually my favorite.
Oh, there you go. I wouldn't even have known about that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Can you guys see it all right? It's a really cool looking tiger with some shading on it and stuff. A lot of tigers down in the lower right.
Yeah, for me, that's my best side, which is why I like that logo.
Now you're on camera, brother.
The logos are always the nicest, man. I tell you. Yeah, we can't thank you guys enough for.
No, thank you, Thomas, for bringing those in.
Thank you for having me on. That's just my way to say thanks.
And I know my wife is going to steal this as soon as I get it home.
If she's anything like mine,
she's going to be like, I want that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can get her own as well.
Oh, don't tell her that. Don't tell her that.
Well, she heard it now.
She'll probably be calling in here any minute.
She'll be like, I want one. You have them in pink.
I do have some pink stuff. I've also got some ladies cut T-shirts and such. So,
all right, all right.
Make her look great.
There you go. She'll be more than happy.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what else? You got some stuff?
I just want to give a quick shout out to some of our friends and brothers, Nine Brothers MC up in Wiley, Saxe, Rowlett area. They are having a canned food drive and chili cook-off on Sunday, November the 8th at 1 p.m. At the Brick Tavern there in Saxe. And once again, they're doing their best to support the local food pantries. Good guys, the Nine Brothers. We went to a bike night of theirs about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Always a good time with them. Then from our friends, Iron Legacy up in Denton, they have the Denton County Toys for Tots, November 7th, Saturday, November 7th at 9 a.m. Raffles, live music. And that's all I can read at the moment because I can't.
No, that's fine. All upcoming events for any clubs around here in Texas and even, nationwide. You guys send us your flyers. We'll be more than happy to put it out on our page, and you can check all those flyers and dates and times and everything else. So you don't need a pen right now, but you can check it out on the 99% Radio Network Facebook page. We'll have it all posted up.
And then November the 14th, the boot ride out to Veterans Memorial. That's an America's Guardian event. It's posted on the page as well. And then so there's and I didn't know it at the time. You posted on our page about
there's dueling competitions right now. So I'm gonna give a shout out to both of them.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, actually a couple days ago, an old friend of mine from the PD, Doug Brown, he's entered the contest with I'm telling you, I still got stroke brain. What's the name of the
Orange County Choppers?
Orange County Choppers to build a motorcycle. I told him, I said, listen, send me the information. I said, I'll put it on the page. We'll promote it. We'll get some people from the page to give you votes because he was currently in 5th at the time. So he did. I saw that he moved up to 3rd this morning. While I was on the page, I was looking. I saw that Shiner from
Southern Dogs.
Was it Southern Dogs or Bikers Against Bullying that he was doing it for, though? He was doing it for Bikers Against Bullying. He's also in the competition. So in fairness, you can actually vote for both because I think you can vote for one and then you can go vote for the other one with no purchase necessary. Just make the vote. Shiner's in 5th right now. My friend Doug Brown is in 3rd. At least they were this morning when I looked. So take a time, go to our page, throw a vote out there for them. Right. I don't know if there's a cost involved on the winner's side as far as getting into the competition, but they're getting a bike built. Doug's a retired Burbank sergeant. He currently lives in southern Texas, but he's seen the light and left California, so he's out here also. Good guy. I've known him my entire career. He and I, we technically started at the same day. I was a lateral. He was just out of the academy, but he's a good dude. Our kids grew up together, and I saw his thing first, so I promoted it on our webpage. But I saw this morning that Shiner's also in the competition, so in fairness, they're both running for it.
All right.
And there's another one of our listeners, and I never pronounce his name, but I think it's Todd Monaghan. He's a law enforcement officer in one of the clubs back on the East Coast. I think I got that right. He sent me a message saying he was in it as well. I didn't even know that it was open for other people until I saw you post Doug stuff up there. But in any event, there's a big competition going, and whoever wins gets to go with Paul Tuttle and Orange County Choppers and build the bike. So that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Pretty good deal on that one. So
you want to get Larry on the phone?
I have Shiner also has an event, a Southern Dogs event. I was trying to find it, I couldn't find it. So Shiner, if you are listening or you catch us later, if you want to send it to us, we'll post your all's event up as well. I know they have it's at Strokers, and it involves the raffling of a handgun, and all the proceeds are going to the hospital.
Todd just posted it. He's with Guardians Soldiers LAMC.
Yep. Thank you, bud. Appreciate that.
Yep. Scottish Rite.
Yep. And then Shiner stuff will go to the Scottish Rites Hospital. So
excellent.
All right, I think that covered it.
All right, man. Let's get Larry on the horn, and let's get this.
Let's get the ball rolling.
All right. Once again, we're calling Larry Mazza, author of The Life, and he was in The Irishman.
He was in The Irishman.
He was in The Irishman.
And just to set the stage for the book, The Life, he's currently in. I guess. Are you there, Larry?
I am here, yes.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being on the 99% Radio Network. I was just fixing to say you are the author of The Life, and it's going to be used as, but why don't we just jump right in and tell us first about your book, and then who you're, I guess, working with on a project to bring it to life.
Well, first, guys, I want you to know I was watching your opening, and I want to thank you all for your service. Very important, and the things you guys are doing are phenomenal. My dad was a fireman, so I have the same feelings you guys do. And you were very kind about your words about us ex-mob guys. There was a lot of truth to it. We definitely sided with the local police. We, helped them when we could, and we were treated with respect from them. You did mention we feel a little differently about the FBI. Let's just leave it at that's true also. And
we all feel the same way, Larry. I'll tell you, even us four guys, we feel different about the FBI as well.
Yeah, and most of the organized crime task force cops that I grew up with feel the same way. And that happens to be a great beat-in. I'm sorry?
Do you have your camera on, Larry? Oh, you.
I do. Well, all I see right now is only me up in the corner. Is there?
Yeah, we're trying to get you on. Hold on one second. Yeah, you keep going. We'll keep going. We're just trying to get you on the show.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, it was those organized crime task force police that were on my case that when they retired, they started working for Robert De Niro, as a personal security team. My tech is trying to help me get on. I apologize.
We can hear the feedback there.
Sorry. Okay. Is there anything I can do to get on to help?
Well, we can see you on our main screen. We just can't get you onto our video feed for Facebook. We're trying to do that now. We don't know what the.
Okay.
But
you started out. Your dad's a fireman, normal upbringing, and you're about 18 years old, and you're working at a grocery store, if I recall correctly. And you want to kind of set the stage for what eventually led to you writing your book, and I'll let you take that.
Well, yeah, that's how I'll more or less start it with a little bit, and then go in reverse. I'll start where I got to write the book, and then I'll head back to the road that got me to that point. All right. So while I was away, I started writing the book. I mean, I had 10 years. I had nothing else to do. I was told that my story was incredible. So I did. I started writing the book. When I came home, I completed it. I had an editor come in and help me out. I published it myself. And I've got an incredible response from it. It's humbling that everybody that reads it has nothing but good things to say. So these officers, these cops that retired from the task force were working for Robert De Niro as his security. And when he started working on The Irishman, he asked them if they knew somebody from the old life that would be helpful as a consultant. And it's funny, there were 5 or 6 of the cops, and they all said, Larry's the guy you want. And it's funny, there's a chuckle there, but it's funny because it is a double-edged point. I mean, the reason is because I lived through a war. I lived through a lot of hits. I had a vicious, Grim Reaper was my boss. So it was an honor to be selected, but for those reasons aren't as honorable. So it's like a double entendre, I guess you could say.
Well, I got to say, Larry, I got to tell you, I did some film work. And when I was a cop, they brought in cops to make it, when I did Law and Order, when I did The Sopranos, they bring in cops for the realism, and that's what makes those shows successful. Bringing you on as a consultant brings the realism and the success to the show. Because you bring anybody else on who's just watched movies or read books, it doesn't bring the realism to the show, and you can see that in the success of The Irishman. Being the consultant on that show, that movie, it was a huge success.
Yeah, and it's funny too because there were several technical things that I told De Niro to do, he did. And they showed up in the movie. So yeah, I agree with you 100% about that.
Yeah, that definitely brings, and if you think about it, a lot of the mafia-based movies, going back to The Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, all these movies, their success. I mean, you've never heard really of a failed mafia movie, really. If you can think of one, let me know, because you really can't think of a failed one. So
the first question that comes to my mind then, do mob guys, Larry, go to mob movies?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And over the years, a real funny thing is, you don't know if it was life imitating art or art imitating life, because so many of the guys in reality were using lines from The Godfather or using lines from Goodfellas. Even while I was away, in prison, my boss, one of the guys we were fighting for, used a line telling me when I says, I don't want to go to this guy's party. We were against him during the war. He tells me, we want to keep our friends close, but keep our enemies closer. Line right out of The Godfather. I almost busted out laughing in the face, which would have been very respectful, but that's how I felt about it because, it's from the movies. So anyway, he thought the book was terrific, De Niro. He brought me to meet Marty Scorsese. Then he brought me to meet Nick Pileggi at their houses. And at the end of the day, Nick Pileggi now is signed the contract to write a screenplay based on the life. Wow. And two of the cops that were on my case, also one of them, Tommy Dades, he spearheaded the investigation against the mob cops. So he has Terrence Winter, who is one of the hottest mob writers of nowadays, right now. Nick is a little, older. He's been around a long time, Nick Pileggi, but Terrence is every bit as good right now. So the team is incredible. Sammy the Bull is going to be a consultant on both of them, along with doing his podcast. So there's a lot of great stuff happening. But to shift back in time a little bit and tell you how I got into the life, I was working in a supermarket. And one of my jobs was to deliver groceries to houses. And I was also in school. I was a senior in high school, getting ready for college. And I wound up going to John Jay for about a year. But during one of my jobs of delivering, I meet this woman who, I'm going to call her an older woman. She was only 32, but, I was 17 at the time.
That's old to 17.
Yeah. Right, but I'm saying, look how things change. I mean, 32-year-old, right? But, so anyway, I have wind up getting very close with her. She's very kind to me. We start a little mutual seduction, and ultimately we have an affair. And this affair goes on for almost 10 years.
Wow.
But early on, I didn't know who her husband was. I really didn't care. I didn't want to meet him. She told me he traveled a lot. He was never home. So it enabled me to have this life with her. But as time went on, I started knowing more and more about him, and now I was getting paranoid.
Connecting the dots.
Yeah, this guy is a big shot in the mob family, still not knowing really how big, and it's ultimately I'm going to get killed for this. So she insists it can't happen. He would never do that. Long story short, she tells him about us.
Oh.
I know, and she insists that I meet him. So I'm jumping fast ahead. I mean, there's a lot of things that happened before this meeting, but ultimately I agreed with her. I agreed to the meeting, even though I really never thought it was a good idea. and he at the meeting, he decides he's going to put me in charge. They already had this planned out of one of his companies, a legitimate company. Because I had been on the fire department test, but the test was thrown out for reasons. They had to redo it because of minorities and women. They said it was too difficult. One of those things. So it was going to take 4 more years for another test. So in those 4 years, I turned my whole life in a different direction. So I meet him, and now more than ever, it was the first night I see him coming out of the car, walking to the door. I'm in the house with the wife. He has dark sunglasses on. It's nighttime. He's got all the jewelry, and he swaggers to the car, to the house, with a real macho walk. Comes in, we shake hands, we go to dinner, and that's when he puts me in charge of the company. So now,
just real quick, Larry, just because that moment right there is epic, right there. When you see him get out of the car and walking towards the house, that right there is such a moment that what went through your head at that moment when you saw him come out and that swagger, the whole bit?
Okay. I'll tell you exactly what went through my head. If you looked in a dictionary under the word mobster, you would see his face. If you want to know what a mobster looks like, especially in that era, you just look at Greg Scholar. I mean, he dressed it, he walked it, he talked it, and he lived it. He was the real deal all the way. And I learned that in the upcoming years more than ever. But that's a great question.
Was there fear? Was there excitement? I mean, you must have had so much emotion going through your body watching this guy come up for the first meet.
It was total apprehension. It was, if any of you played ball, like I'm pretty sure you all did, before a big game, the butterflies.
Yeah.
That's what I was feeling. And the best part is, all along I thought his name was Charlie. That's what she told me. Charles Shearer was his name. And when he comes walking through the door and I stick my hand out and say, "Hi, I'm Larry," he says, "Greg, I'm Greg." So I was confused right there. I had to ask her when he went inside to pour 2 drinks, which I needed. She told me, "Oh, he just uses that name." So I'm saying, now I'm getting really confused. I'm 18 now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get this position, and now because I'm friends with him, it's not just this person in the background, and he's doing things for me. I start feeling real guilty about what's going on. That's why ultimately she told him about us, which was the next big moment in my life. When we're driving to the club one day, and he tells me, "Larry, I know you're a mature young man, and I want to have this conversation with you." Just as he's talking to me about this, I know where he's going. And I always said to myself, I would never admit it. It would be like the movie, The Godfather.
Right.
He'd say, just admit it to me, and I'll let you go. And I says, I would never admit it. Anyway, it's just the 2 of us. We're going to the club. We pull in. We opened up every day, and then the other men would come in. And we walk to the back, and he's continuing. He sits down behind his desk, his big throne seat, and he says, comes out with the words. He says, I know about you and Linda. Yeah. Hold on. There's a split second where I don't know what overtook me. And these are the exact words. I'll never forget them, and I've said them several times. I says, "Greg, I have a lot of respect for you, and you're far from an idiot. but only an idiot wouldn't see what's going on. He busts out laughing. He gets up from behind the desk, walks me out, puts his arm around me. We went into the front of the club because now he had to have a very serious conversation with me. And he explains to me one of the rules. He says, I'm okay with this, and I'll tell you why I know he's okay with it in a minute. And it could continue. He says, if anybody outside of the three of us finds out, you and I will be killed. Because it's taboo. That's not allowed, obviously. But the reason later on I understood, Greg had two other wives. One in Vegas, and another, his first wife that had most of his kids with, in New Jersey. And we were in Brooklyn, and she was far out in Jersey, like 2.5 hours away. So he was spreading his, I would bring him to the airport sometimes. He'd go to Vegas for 2 days. Then he'd come back, he'd be in Jersey. So I had like 4 or 5 nights a week with Linda. And she was much younger than him. The third wife was the youngest. So I think in hindsight, I was pretty much making his life easier.
Yeah.
So now I'll jump past, because now we have this three-way relationship. Greg and I are getting closer than ever. He's bringing me to meet other bosses, captains. I've met Sammy with him. As a matter of fact, Sammy was going to help us, if he remembers this, when I was in that business that he set me up in, helped us get some stores on 18th Avenue. It's way back. He may or may not remember that. But I met him several times over the years. Very, very smart, articulate guy, Sammy. Once he could, I think you'll enjoy talking to him. And meeting all these people, I started rising up. Then the war starts. And again, I'm jumping past a lot of things. The normalcy, the normal stuff of everyday life in the family. You know, the making money, all the different scams and all the businesses, Shylock bookmaking. There was nothing Greg didn't do. We had fake tokens, for the bridges, fake credit cards, you name it, we did it. He had a thing that you could stick into payphones to open them up and get all the change out back in the day when there were payphones. And then he would ride up and down I-95 and just stop it at all the phone booths. And, it was just nothing he wouldn't do to earn.
Yeah, you got to pay up.
So it's amazing. So then the war starts, and, that was really the downfall. During the war, I get made. Because I was involved in several hits. And, there's a tradition that, with intricate, serious, private meetings, you have to be a good fella to be there. But my partner and I were just part of, a half a dozen hits and attempts and shootouts, and we got shot at. There was nobody in the family that was going to say we couldn't sit at the table. So our boss sent a message out to get those two guys recognized, and that's when we got straightened out. Lackluster ceremony, not like you see in the movies or you've heard about. It's been so exposed, but it still was something that meant something to me at the time.
Hey, Larry, I wanted to ask you real quick. Did you grow up in the same neighborhood where Scarpa lived and operated?
He actually lived closer to where I grew up. I could take my bike, which I did when I was 17, to his house when he wasn't there, when I was a kid. And it was probably, 3 miles right down, and there's a bicycle path that goes right down Ocean Parkway. But the club was a little further away. The club was Dyker Heights. That was probably another 3 or 4 miles. But yeah, basically, yes, the same neighborhoods.
So I wanted to ask you, because I was watching a show here a couple of weeks ago on National Geographic, and it was the story of the American Mafia, and one of the segments was about him. And when you were describing your first sighting of him as he was coming up the sidewalk, one of the guys that they interviewed for this National Geographic show, who was identified as a made guy, a part of the Columbo family, but he was all blacked out. They didn't show his face, and they kind of jacked his voice up. But he said when Gregory Scarpa would walk down the sidewalk in his neighborhood, everyone knew who he was, and he said people would walk to the other side of the street because he was that feared and that respected. Nobody wanted to do something inadvertently to piss him off. So I wanted to ask you: did your heart jump up into your throat when you first saw him? Or did you know when you saw him? Did you know who he was by sight, or did he have to be identified to you?
I didn't know of him. I was, like I said, I grew up in a normal family, just nothing. I had an uncle that was in the Columbo family, but I never really understood it. We were kept away from it. But little by little, I started seeing who he was, and what you said is true. Especially if they owed him money, they're going to walk on the other side of the street, you know. But he was also good for the neighborhood. You know, you touched on that before. We had no trouble. You know, the people could walk that neighborhood. There was a robbery at one of the churches where the crown jewels were taken, and the police couldn't find it. And Detective Sullivan was his name, rest in peace. I know his kids real well. He came to the club and asked Greg for help. Within 2 days, the crown jewels were returned to the church. So, with all, you know, there was also a respect and admiration, although there was a fear. But basically, the people that feared him were other families doing business with him, customers in the street that we dealt with. They feared him because you read a lot about guys that chop up bodies and things like that. We always thought that was more serial killing and disgusting, and you know. But Greg would walk up to you on a crowded street in the middle of the afternoon if you were targeted, and he'd shoot you, and he'd walk back to his car and drive away. Stuff you see in movies. Yeah. Unfortunately, the only thing that tainted him, and it tainted him big time, is while I was in prison, it comes out that he was a top echelon informer for 30 years. So, you know, that takes a little bit of that bravado away.
30 years?
Yes, for 30 years.
Ooh.
And it goes all the way back to an event in the civil rights era where there was problems, where he helped the FBI find some bodies. So,
just when you talk about the neighborhood back then and how, the police really didn't have to really even lift a finger in some of those neighborhoods because they knew there would be no crime. You look at Howard Beach, Howard Beach, Queens, probably the most protected area in Brooklyn, or right out of Brooklyn. Never, ever had a problem there.
No, it's true. Sammy's area, 18th Avenue.
Yeah.
Sammy was in Howard Beach a lot with John, obviously. Mm-hmm. So, no, those neighborhoods were well kept.
Yep. And, everybody, and there was respect, and it was the neighborhood. It was almost like an HOA, brother. It was, you knew you could sleep with your doors open and your windows open. No one was touching your house. No one was touching your car. Nobody was doing nothing. Mm-hmm.
Well, I do a lot of speaking engagements and book signings and things like that. And I'll hear 99 out of 100 times, that they missed the old days. Regular people. Yeah. When the mob guys were there and they knew they could turn to them for help. Maybe there's 1 out of 100 that thinks the neighborhoods are better. Even if I haven't met him yet, but I don't want to say it's 100%, but right. I've never heard anybody say anything different. So, yeah.
Yeah, the neighborhoods were pretty much crime-free, and,
you could park, you could walk anywhere. You could come out of a nightclub late at night. Girl, guy, it didn't matter. There was always a watching over each other.
Somebody looking out.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Here's a quick story, and I was in my house on AMUW, and I've been around now quite a few years. And I was in the backyard with my partner, Jimmy, and all of a sudden I hear my dog barking, and my 90-year-old grandmother used to sit in the front of the house every day and just watch the neighborhood go by. Yeah. So we hear a ruckus out there, and I look and I see this disheveled guy, probably some junkie that wandered into our neighborhood, running down the street with my grandmother's purse. So the dog is so well trained, it doesn't leave the yard. It goes running after him, but once he gets out of the yard, the dog stops. So me and Jimmy go chasing. We catch the guy about a block and a half away. He doesn't have the purse anymore. But there was a cop driving by, local patrol guy, and they must have knew this guy. And anyway, I'm trying to find out where the purse is. I got the guy by the throat, and the cops come over, and they knew me. And I told them what just happened, and I says, he took the purse. I don't know where it is. Blah, blah, blah. So the guy won't say where the purse is. He's denying it. Anyway, don't take this too bad. I don't think they meant it. The cops said, all right, we're going to take a ride and let you guys handle this. Okay, because I guess nothing was going to happen if they took him in. They didn't have the purse. So they left. We cracked them around a little bit, told them not to come back here again, or the building across the street, you're going to go off the 6th floor. I said, so just stay out of here. He left. We walked back, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking. The dog was chasing him. So he had to throw it somewhere. He threw it in the next yard. So we found the purse. But that's how close, the law enforcement, the cops were with reality, with the real,
Especially back then. Yeah. Especially back then.
Yeah. Well, now you can't even talk about it. God forbid.
Yeah.
A cop defends himself. Look, I don't know how far you want to get into this, but every day we got to read about a cop shooting somebody that's chasing him with a knife, or shooting a laser gun at him, or trying to run him over, and they turn the cop into the bad guy. Yeah. So no, that ain't. I don't go for that at all.
So how would it go back in the old days? We're all kind of pretty close in the same age, and so how
Speak
would it,
for yourself?
Okay. All right. How would it go if you were, you can just do a hypothetical, but hypothetically, if you're out driving around and you're packing, you maybe got a buddy with you and he's packing, and for whatever reason you get pulled over. Nowadays, so many of these stops, some of these knuckleheads are out there. They immediately become confrontational. There's absolutely zero level of cooperation. How would that interaction go if you guys know you?
You know what? It ties into something you guys opened up with, and there's a difference. We weren't a typical street thug, common mugging criminal. We were more into making money on higher levels. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know any mob guy from our club that carried a gun on a daily basis. I really don't. None of the guys in our crew had guns on them. We had them nearby if we needed them. Or if something was happening, we went and got our guns, but we didn't travel with them every day. So I don't even understand that, how, some people just happen to have guns under their seats all the time. But no, and if we did, we certainly are not going to pull it out and point it at the cop. We were always respectful when we got pulled over.
So did they toss you? I mean, once they knew, would they do?
No,
you guys didn't.
No. Like, if you don't mind me jumping in for a quick second, Larry, on that. Yeah, a normal young patrolman who doesn't know may do overextend that and maybe toss the car. But any veteran cop, any veteran law enforcement, they know. Yeah, and it's not the point of not doing your job. It's a point of respect. It's just if it's a broken taillight, I'm not pulling you out of the car. I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to put myself or them in that predicament. I'm not. It's
common sense.
Exactly. It's common sense, and it's a mutual respect.
Well, the reason why I asked that question is because, like, if you're a good cop and you're assigned a beat, you know what goes on in your beat. You know who rolls around in your beat. And, like, I know me and Mongo, many times we would see, now there's a big difference. I get there's a big difference, but street level gangbangers who tried to be organized, and they would work for, some of the prison gangs, that operate and run drugs and things like that. Man, we see them tooling down the neighborhood with a broken tail light, and you stop a little bit.
It's a whole different level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And California is a different world too.
Right.
I mean, there was not the same respect. We came across those guys. It was a confrontation every time. Every chance we got, they went to jail.
And not only that, if you're a street cop, if you're walking patrol as a street cop, and especially, I don't know if Larry, was it the 6-0 or the 6-1 where you were?
Both of them.
If you were a cop back then, you know what? If it's raining out, guess what? You're getting a cup of coffee. If it's cold out, guess what? You're getting a place to stand in the doorway. You know what? Your gangbangers aren't doing that.
No.
The guys are doing that, and the neighborhood guys are doing that.
Where I was going with that is if the beat cop that pulled them over knows, hey, these are two made guys, they're part of the mafia. Is he gonna show the respect and say, I'm gonna let it go, just a warning, or is he gonna say, you're on? I don't know if the laws in New York allow it, but in California, you're on probation. We're gonna toss your car.
We're gonna get to that question right after we take this quick commercial break. Larry, we got to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Well,
Stay with us. Stay with us.
When you come back, bring up profiling.
Oh, okay, yeah, you got it. All right. This is the 99% Radio Network. We are on with Larry Mazza, the author of The Life, and consultant, and you also played on The Irishman. So we're going to hit a little bit of that once we get back from these messages. All good?
Here at Micro DOT Helmets, we're focused on lightweight DOT certified helmets that protect and still look great, so you don't have to look like that mushroom from Super Mario. If you do have an accident, we'll ship you a fresh new helmet. Real lifetime warranty, only at Micro DOT Helmets, a veteran-owned business.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
First responders, military folks that are struggling, and we just don't know. It's something, the stigma that's attached that people don't want to talk about.
My two family members who completed suicide last year. Hashtag Walk the Bridge has helped me heal, cope, and give me the opportunity to remember them.
Chill moment to walk off that bridge and to hug each other, your brothers and your sisters.
And hear what they have to say, and they really help us just come together as one.
First responders and law enforcement, a whole much more higher respect for them, because we're in this together.
One of the best things I ever did was get involved in local groups, local veteran groups. We knew the same language, we knew how to, talk to each other and help each other.
A lot of need for mental health programs that just raised attention toward problem of first responder and military suicides.
It's nice to have that family bond with each other and just to be able to express. So it's just a judgment-free zone, and you can say whatever you want without worrying about what others may think.
Just being open with each other, saying it's okay if you're struggling.
It's a great honor to be a part of this movement and effort of naming this bridge, Heroes Bridge.
It makes me proud to see that something like this is being done, because it's absolutely necessary and very deserving of the people that not only served in the military for this country, but for first responders that serve every day.
And if you save one life, we've done our job, right? So let's just keep on moving forward.
MLK Boulevard, Dallas, Texas, 75215. Donations are welcome. Be sure to follow us on Facebook for our live stream of music, poetry, culture, and more. For info, call 214-978-7164 or visit HarambeDallas.org.
I may never have met you. We don't go way back. Maybe we wouldn't even be friends if we did. But when you wear a mask, you have my respect. Because your mask doesn't protect you. It protects me. And I wear my mask to protect you. Mask up, America. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Fishbowl Radio Network. FBRN.US. Jump in.
All right, welcome back to the 99% Radio Network, live in the Fishbowl with Sideshow 12 and Mongo and TJ from Law Tigers. On the line via Skype, we have Larry Mazza, consultant for The Irishman, the movie, also an actor in there. Excuse me? Yep. And also author of the new book, The Life. Welcome back, Larry.
Thank you.
You know, we before we broke for commercial, we were talking about certain aspects law enforcement would take towards either your street gangbangers or your some of your known mob affiliates within the community. When we talk about
I'm 26. Don't ask me that.
That's Sammy. We got Sammy on here too.
I think we got Sammy on.
I think we got Sammy on. He's talking to somebody.
Yeah, I'm on right. I'm on right now.
Yeah, hey Sammy, how you doing?
How you doing?
Pretty good, man. I appreciate
Sammy,
you calling in.
my man?
How you doing, Larry? How you doing, you other guys?
Larry,
happy to be here.
Yeah, Sammy, you're on with Sideshow 12 and Mongo. Thank you for joining us. We were just talking with Larry about, we were getting into the profiling aspect of law enforcement, and the certain respect aspects that law enforcement had for some of the made guys and even some of the wise guys out on the street, because we knew as law enforcement officers, you kept the communities and the neighborhoods pretty much safe of crime. So we believe it or not, kind of looked at some of the crews as an extension of law enforcement, because you knew nothing was happening on that block would not be taken care of,
Right.
That's probably the difference between what you did in New York and what we did in California, because we didn't have that same relationship or the same respect with the gangsters, because they were just outright thugs 24/7. They weren't looking to help anybody out besides themselves.
Well, and I'm sure Larry and Sammy can attest to this. You do have, just like in any other aspect of this game, is that you will have some wise guys that make it bad for the others. They're gonna run their mouth. They're gonna run their mouth. They're gonna cause more heartache for the other guys, just to try to get a bump up or just try to make a name for themselves. So you do have those. You do have, but 90% are not like that. They know when what to say, what to do, and the cops are the same way. They know what to say and what to do, not to disrespect each other, because it was a cat and mouse game, and there was a mutual respect on both sides.
So, Larry, before we go to Sammy, we did have a question.
I'd like to hear Sammy's take on that.
Yeah, well, listen, the neighborhood to us was our community, our people, our friends, our families, and they were protected.
Right.
I would always say I would hang out at Tally's on 18th Avenue. We would hang out. A beautiful woman would walk by. There was no hooting and howling. Nothing was said. Their husband knew they were beautiful, walk right by the club. Why are they telling them to walk by the club? Because they knew nothing would happen.
Right.
Nobody would bother them. And if somebody did bother them, we would stick our 2 cents in right away. We wouldn't let it happen. So we were part of the community. I'll give you another quick story. When I was a kid, we had a house in the middle of 2 other houses, and on both sides of it, there was Jewish people. And during Christmas, my father and my mother would put Hanukkah candles in the window. And I would ask, well, why are we doing that? We're not Jewish. And my father would say, our neighbors are Jewish. Respect to them. We show respect. Their holidays right near our holiday. So that's what it was about, even growing up.
Yep.
We respected the people in the neighborhood. You know, that's just the way it was. That was our neighborhood. Now, we committed crimes, and like you said, there was maybe some thugs who did something wrong. Those people wouldn't last long in the mafia.
Right.
They wouldn't accept things like that. So I guess I got the same take as that Larry has. This is, our people.
Right.
So.
And and that's what it came down to. Sammy, I don't know if you heard before, like Howard Beach. Howard Beach was probably the safest neighborhood in New York City. You could leave your doors open, your windows open, your car unlocked. You could, you knew in Howard Beach there was nothing going to happen to you. No crime was going to be taking place without some bad repercussions. I think
it was, in general, it was all over New York, especially Brooklyn. I don't think Howard Beach was the safest place. It was more of an outlying community that was going towards Long Island.
Yeah.
But I think, personally, not because I grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, but Bensonhurst, Brooklyn was infested with street guys, gangsters, street guys. And I think that was more infested than any other area, and I think it became more protected. I mean, every corner, bar, a club, every place you went, there was a pack of guys hanging out, and I think that was more protected than anything. I mean, so I think, yeah.
So, Sammy, we have a question from one of our viewers, listeners over in the UK, and I guess it's for both of you. They were wanting to know if one or either of you ever worked with Michael Frances. I think I said it right.
I guess Franchise.
Yeah, I never did. So I never did. He was ahead of me. He was gone moved on outside the family by the time I moved up a little bit. So, Sammy, I don't know about you.
I think Michael Franchise grew up in between me and you. I think he's about 6 years younger than me. I didn't know him well. His father was a heavyweight in the Columbo family, extremely respected.
Right.
And but I didn't know the kid as well. Like I said, I was 6 years older than him. And Michael grew up, he seems to be a real sharp guy. I do know him. I know of him. He's a great business guy. But in the neighborhood, in the mob, people take different roles. Paul Castellano had 8 or 9 captains. I was an acting captain. We were sitting in his house at a table. And he said one day, he said, in our life, there's 2 kinds of people. Racketeers that are good in business, and unions, and then there's gangsters. They're straight up tough guys. They kill, they do all different things. And then he said, it's very rare where someone is both a gangster and a racketeer. He said, we're fortunate. We have one or more in our family. And he pointed across the table and said, Sammy the Bull, he's one. He's a thug and a racketeer. He's a gangster and a racketeer. My chest came out about 3-4 inches, and I was happy to brag about that statement. It was a good statement. So there are different forms of guys in the street. I know Larry came from an area where his boss and his crew, they were tough guys. No question about it. Good guys. And it's not that they didn't know unions and business. They did, but they were noted, especially his boss, for being tough guys. I developed that reputation as well. I was in the Columbo family when I first started, and then eventually I was traded. Like a football guy, I was traded to another team. I went to the Gambino family. And that's very, I guess Larry could say, that's very rarely ever done. You know, there's a whole story with it. And so I won't get into the whole story and tell everybody. And I'm going to do a podcast down the road. I'm working on a few things in life now. But so that's the story of the Mafia a little bit. They're a combination of different personalities.
Well, that's what I wanted to, pretext this. Sammy, you have a lot of good projects coming up, and you have a podcast or a radio show coming up, and I could not find the name of it for the life of me. What was the name, is it still in production?
Well, you go to SammyTheBull.com/links, and you can subscribe to a YouTube channel that I have now. You can follow my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can shop for merchandise. You can ask me any questions, similar to what I'm doing here right now with you guys. And, when Larry makes you an offer to come in and talk with him, you don't refuse that offer too often.
Well, listen, I would be a very bad friend if I didn't ask you this question. One of my buddies ran the same neighborhood as you. He walked around by you. He actually walked on the other side of the street as you because he was a little fearful of you. But he was known in the neighborhood, and he asked me to ask you if you remember Little Johnny effing Walsh. You probably don't remember him.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, he remembers you. He goes, yeah, I'd see Sammy coming down the street. He goes, and he was only 9 years old at the time. He goes, I moved myself onto the other side of the block. He goes, but I had great respect for the man.
So listen, my reputation precedes me, but I really wasn't. I didn't bother people. I was respectful to people. But same thing like when I was in prison. I'm not a big guy. I'm a little guy. But people knew that I was for real. I didn't brag. I didn't bullshit. I didn't push my weight around. But I wouldn't let nobody fuck with me. So that reputation went out. I was good at certain things that I did, obviously. As a hitman, different bosses used me. Paul Castellano, they used me in the Columbo family where I first started with that. Paul Castellano used me. John Gotti used me as a talent in that area. And unfortunately, I really was good at it. It's not something I'm proud of or I like, but I was good at it.
So I have a question. Can I say something? I'm still here.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, somewhere in the 80s, there wasn't a business in Brooklyn that opened that Sammy didn't have a piece of. No matter what club you walked into, you could go into a clothing store, a grocery store. Oh, that's Sammy's place. I used to look at my partner, Jimmy, and say, where's this fucking guy own everything? It can't be. But it was true. All the way up the ladder. Remember, Sam, all the nightclubs and
absolutely
unbelievable. Absolutely. But now you were legendary. You were a heavyweight. Everything a mob guy should be, and everything a man should be. So I'm glad we're here together talking and moving forward.
So I have a question for both of you. That you, Sammy, you mentioned you mentioned that you were a captain, and everybody knows that you made it to Underboss. Well, besides the obvious things like being able to earn money and other skills, how does that work in the corporate mafia, if you will, where, like, I know how I got promoted, as a cop, you test, you compete against other people, you do that.
Yeah, same thing.
I'm just curious I said, but beside the obvious earning and other skills that you might have, is there, how does that work? Did other captains sit around the table and say, okay, we're gonna promote Larry to lieutenant, or how does that work?
We're tested.
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine, but is it like one person's decision, or is there multiple people, saying, no, I don't think he's ready, or Is it basically?
Listen, the boss of the family always makes the decision, right, wrong, or indifferent. He's in total control. Now, the underboss is his right-hand man, and he has a lot of input with the boss. The Consigliere family, his job really is when somebody steps out of line and he's a made guy, he represents that guy to the boss and the underboss and pleads the guy's case to beg for forgiveness or whatever his case is. He's like a lawyer. He's the Consigliere family. Then there's captains, and each captain controls a group. Now, the mafia, especially old foxes, have a way of watching you when you grow up. Like Larry Mazza. When he's a kid, people watch him. The neighborhood, like I said, is infested. And it's how he acts when he's growing up, when he's arrested, when he's in jail. However he handles himself, that becomes his personality. That becomes his reputation. If he does the wrong thing, he's not going to succeed. Now, money is important in the mafia if you're an earner, but it's not the most important thing. And it's not a matter of killing, this guy's tougher or this guy's a bigger killer. It's what he is as a rounded person. Does he have compassion for the life? Does he love the life? Does he understand the life? This is something that's lasted 1,000 years. We don't want people in there who can destroy the life. Now, John was a good boss for a while, but literally, what he did, he ruined his reputation and he ruined the mafia. He ruined the mafia more than 10 people who cooperated put together because of the things he did. We're a brotherhood, we're a secret society, and we have to keep and maintain that position until you're out, like I am, or like Larry is, or then it's different. But while you're in, you have to adhere to the rules of Cosa Nostra, and that's where your decisions, the decisions you make, and things you do, that's what makes people become made members, first of all, and then maybe excel to a different position. There's a lot of things that hurt the mafia. People put people in, their son, who didn't really belong. Mm-hmm. And these things hurt the mafia. Years ago, you had to be the old timers. You had to be Italian on both sides. Then people came to the country and they got married to Jewish women, Irish, and whatever. And they changed the rule that you have to be Italian, at least on your father's side, because you carry his name, and we'll accept that. We don't care what your mother was, which is not a good rule because, let's face it, we all are a lot more like our mother than we think because they're there when we're sick, they give birth to us, they teach us, they're always around us. So you can't say that your mother doesn't have an influence on you, right. But the rules changed. But that's how you excel. You know, let me give you a quick little story. Paul Castellano had a bunch of captains in the house again. I was there again. And Paul Castellano at the head of the table said, when we're talking about cops, he said, you know who the real tough guys are? So everybody's looking at him. And he says, the cops. Because when they call to a call, a domestic call, they don't ever know what they're running into. And they go in. And they risk their lives. These are the real tough guys. Now that's not something that whole table wanted to hear. Nobody was too happy with that statement, I don't think. And matter of fact, when we were walking out, Roy DeMeo said, pretty loud, I think Paul heard him, well, next time he wants somebody killed, let him call the cops. And everybody started laughing. So, but, you know, the cops were respected. They have a job to do as long as they're straight and honest and they're doing their job to protect the people. We're not mad at them. We're not them. We don't want to be them. They take different oaths than we take. But we don't disrespect them in any way, shape, or form. You know, I've been hired as a consultant on a show coming out mob cops. It's a very, very powerful story. It's about these dirty cops who not only was giving us information, but were involved in murders, setting people up. Not only that, they actually killed some people.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about Sam. I didn't mean to cut you off, but what you're preempting on this new show, I have a little connection to my ex-wife. The one person, I don't know if you want to reveal names yet or anything like that, but that one person who is now deceased was her first cousin. I was getting on a job back in the 90s, and my father-in-law would tell me, hey, go to this one. Like I said, I don't know if you want to bring out the name, but go to this one if you want to go to this place. Go to this one, you get that hookup where you can go to a different precinct or whatever. But that was my ex-wife's first cousin.
No, I'm not going to reveal names.
Huh?
Okay.
No, you can't mention your name.
No, I'm not going to mention names.
I don't think he wants to mention.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention any names. No, but I think he knows what I'm talking about.
So, hey, I got a question for both of you. I got one for each of you. It's a similar question. Sammy, I'll go to you first. One of our fans over in England, he said, what was the point that made Sammy decide he'd had enough of the life? Or are you ever really out, and no disrespect intended? And Larry, another viewer asked a similar question. They wanted to know, at what point did you decide that you had enough? And how is it when you go back home? Which I guess is kind of the same thing that the guy in England asked of Sammy. Are you ever really out, or people in your neighborhood know you? Y'all want to address that? Do you mind?
If you'd like me to answer that first?
Yes, sir. Please.
When you take that oath, it's an oath, it's a blood oath for life. You're never out. You die with that. Now, you could cooperate, you could do whatever you want. You're a made member till the day you die. That's part of the oath. But you could be out in different ways. You could be thrown out, you could cooperate and be out. You're not accepted in their circle, but you die what you are. Like now, people call me the Underboss. I'm not the Underboss of the family anymore. And I have a tremendous respect for the Mafia. A lot of guys don't, but I do. I've been arrested all my life. I never walked away from the life. I stood up at murder trials, a number of them, and never cooperated. John betrayed me straight out, and that betrayal broke my heart. It actually broke me as a person, I think. It fucked me up so much, I walked away from the life. And no matter what I had to do, I had to get away from the life. I had enough of killing, betraying. I was done with it. And that made me walk away. Now, I thought for sure I would get killed or whatever would happen. And, but I had to stand my ground. There was a point in my life that I just had to stand my ground and walk away. I've had it with the life. Now, I don't know how other people, I know I don't put nobody down. Everybody's got a story of what happened, and a lot of them I understand because I've been betrayed in a horrible way by John. And that story will come out later. I'm not going to really get in depth with that story, but
Lost his audio a little bit.
Okay, you want me to answer?
Yeah, we lost his audio.
Oh.
Yep.
My audio?
Yeah, no, we got it back. We got it back.
Yeah, how about you, Larry?
All right, well, he used some similar words to my feelings. I was fighting my case, a ton of money, waiting to possibly, hopefully get 17 or 18 or 20 years, which would have been a bargain. And while I'm going through all this, it comes out about my boss, Greg, that brought me into the life, like I said before, and groomed me and was making me the man that I was supposed to be in the life. it felt like my heart was pulled out of my chest when I heard that he was a cooperating witness for 30 years. And this is horrible to say, but if a close family member had died, that's exactly how I felt at that minute. Then to hear the future boss of the family tell me to my face that him and his father, and Sammy, you know who I'm talking about, knew about Greg for 20 years. It was the second time. Now my lungs were pulled out. I'm saying, if this is true, I mean, it was all one big backstabbing, betrayal. There's no loyalty, nothing. So now you're faced with, and especially they're claiming I had to know about Greg. I didn't like that. I almost had a couple of beefs in the joint because of that. So ultimately, that made a decision for me. And then I got a little lucky. There was corruption on the case, and they were very interested in that because I really had nothing to give them, unfortunately. But there does come a moment where your heart's pulled out, and that happened to me and Sammy and many of us. Right. It doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right because we are what we are. Right. But there is a time where...
Larry, let me jump in. It doesn't make it right, but it doesn't make it wrong. You have to be in the life. You have to be in somebody's shoes to feel that. When you give your heart and soul, everything you have, you're willing to go in the street and shoot it out or kill people or do whatever. And then the life itself and the people you trust the most betray you, there's nothing left. Now, I happen to know his boss very, very well, and I can only imagine, because I know how loyal Larry was, and I can only imagine what he felt. But you have to be in the life. And then you got these closet people who want to sit at home and call people a rat, a this, a that, whatever. And these people, if you go to these people who are doing the talking, usually a tough guy, don't come out calling people names. Right. Now, if you really want to be a tough guy, you come and kill me. You don't call me a name sitting in your basement on a computer. That's the guy who will face 3 years and he'll flip, and guaranteed. And he has no idea of the life or the pain and the suffering. Like, there's a lot of pieces of work I did. I'm not proud of it. And I didn't enjoy it, ever. I mean, maybe I'm a different type of gangster. I will do what I have to do. If I was told at one point, walk in the police station and shoot the desk sergeant in front of all these cops, as crazy as this may sound, I would have probably done it, knowing I could never get out of that precinct. I'm going to die there.
Because as orders, you were given orders.
Yeah, and the loyalty, but you got to have that loyalty.
You're consumed by the loyalty.
You know, I'm consumed by the loyalty to do this. And yes, when the boss gives an order, you do it or you die. You know, and that's part of the oath.
I don't want to cut you off on that, Larry, but I mean, Sammy, but you know, it doesn't. It's not any different than the military. When you think about it, you know, the military gives you an order to do something. You know, a military officer is gonna, you know, his loyalty to the country, he's gonna do it. The same thing with what you just said, man. Your boss gives you an order. Guess what? You are gonna fulfill that order at no matter what the cost is. And you know what? And if you're going to die doing it, then you know what? You're going to die with. You're going to, believe it or not, you're going to die with honor because you followed the boss's order, and that was the life. Sammy, let me ask you a quick question.
Something? Can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
No, I wanted to make a point of something Sammy was talking about before, and I think it's a lost art in the life where you're talking about moving up, and that's why we do these things and show that loyalty. There was a time when I remember I could see different people, different guys who were being groomed for future positions. It doesn't seem to be that way anymore, that education, where the older guy, Greg taught me everything, how to talk, how to walk, how to meet somebody, who to kiss on the cheek, and don't even worry about, you know, he taught me every little thing. So you're being groomed for something. Right. And then during the war, I was going direct to our new consigliere. And he started grooming me for something, telling me, when Greg steps down, you'll be the only one to come to me. I know what he was leading me up to, but there's an education and a grooming that I don't see anymore. Do you agree, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. The life has changed quite a bit. I mean, and in some cases, I actually give them some respect. Here's why. They gave an order, from what I understand, no more killing, which is a good thing. Because basically we're killing each other, number one. Number two, that these organized crime strike forces are loaded up with agents, 14, 15, 16 on each family. Now, when you're not killing, they dwindled it down to 3, 4 agents and got all those other agents and put them on gang violence or terrorists or whatever. So it was a smart move on their part. They do things in a different way now than we did. When we were growing up, it's like the Jesse James days. There was bodies all over the fucking place.
You know, Sammy, you know what's funny? I don't know if you remember this. I was away with you for a little while. I know you remember that. We had that conversation about if we could ever change something, it would be stop the killing. You remember us talking about that?
Yes.
You do. I'm glad you did. And we talked about the round table.
Yes. Listen, that's been my thought for a long time. Everybody talks about I've been involved in a lot of murders, and they talk about those murders. Nobody talks about the people I saved in this life. When we killed Tommy Bellotti, right after we killed Tommy Bellotti and Paul Castellano, I was in the meeting when we were talking about we thought we were going to be in a serious war and what we were going to do. And Joe Watts brought up, we could kill Joey Bellotti, Tommy's brother, and take over all of Staten Island because the two Bellotti brothers controlled Staten Island. I remember sitting there for a while, and I said, is this what we're going to do? We're going to start killing people for money now? I think that Joey Bellotti should be saved. He understands the life. He understands Tommy wasn't the best guy, and he was in the car with Paul. So he had to go. So John said, well, Joey's a tough guy, dangerous guy. Who are we going to put him with? Now, I immediately became a full-blown captain then. I said, put him with me. Let me go talk to him. If he strikes out, he'll strike out at me first. Frankie DeChico, who was one of my closest friends, said, I think Sammy's right. I'll go with Sammy. We called Joey Bellotti to a diner. I had a gun under my jacket. We sat down with him. I said, Joey, how long do you know me? He said, a lot of years, Sammy, a lot of years. I said, I opened up my jacket to make the gun obvious. I said, if I wanted you dead, would you be dead? He said, absolutely, Sammy. I closed my jacket. I said, I'm not here for that. I'm here to save you. Your brother had 9 kids. You got 9 kids. You got to take care of these 18 kids. You'll be with me, and I'll treat you like a man. You have nothing. You have to understand the life. And he said, Sammy, I do. And Frankie said, that's exactly why I'm here. Because Sammy said he wanted to save your life. And Joey Bellotti stayed close to me until he died. Even after I flipped, he was close to me. I can say it now. There's a lot of people who stayed close to me. I don't say who they were. I don't want to blow their cover. But he stayed until he died, so I can say it now. Very, very close to me.
Well, those are stories that I never heard.
Now, those are stories that I've never heard.
Right.
So you know how much fucking money you owe me now?
Hey, I'll pay up, Sammy. I'll pay up.
All right.
I do got to ask
remember one more thing. Number 10 didn't pay up.
Oh, okay. I'm number 11. Hey, just real quick on, Larry told us how he got into the life. He was 17 years old. A lot of kids, coming up, 8, 9 years old, running numbers, get involved. What age were you when you were introduced to the life?
Well, when I was a kid, I had a lot of trouble in school. I was dyslexic, and I had trouble in school, a lot of trouble. It's a long story. Then I was on a gang, the Rampers. At 19 years old, I got drafted. We were talking about the military. I went into the military. I did 2 years during the Vietnam War. And at 21, I got out. I went right back into the rampers. At 23 years old, I hooked up with the mafia, the Columbo family. And I've been in it the rest of my life from, 50 years, 52 years? So I did 22 years in prisons. I was in 3 mafia wars and involved in 19 murders. So,
but when you say you're hooked up, it's not like you filled out a job application. How did you hook up? It was a meeting. You knew somebody. Was it just an introduction?
A friend of mine, Tommy Spiro. He had an uncle named Shorty Spiro. He was with Carmine Persico. They were in the Gallo War, and he wanted to talk to me. He was an ex-fighter. I knew who he was. He was literally walking around the neighborhood. He was a legend in his own time. And I said, okay, I'll talk with him. And he sat down with me and he said, Sammy, you're a tough fucking kid. You're too tough. You're going to raise your hands to the wrong guy. You're going to get killed. You hook up with me, you'll be part of our family. You'll be protected. And you'll be with us. And you'll survive. I'll never backstab. I'll never lie to you. And anything I ask you to do, I've already done. And I might come with you and do it. And I know what that meant. That meant killing somebody.
But at that point already, because they just don't introduce anybody. At that point, you've already earned your reputation. You've earned your trust. You were respected. Because and that's what it is. People don't understand. You earn the respect and you're noticed. And like you said, it's a grooming process. It goes through from your parents to when you're a kid and they see you running numbers. They see you doing some certain things. They follow that. They follow that, and it's recognized.
They love you to come from a good family.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they look for.
So I have a question for y'all.
And then they see every time you've been in trouble. What did you do when you got arrested? You didn't talk. You took a beating. Back in those days, the cops would kick the shit out of you if they wanted you to talk. And I mean, kick the shit out of you. So they knew, he stood up. He got a terrific beating. He wouldn't cooperate. All of these little things. He was in a gang. He won't back up, or this or that. Whatever it may be, like Larry just said, they look at you, who your family is, who your mother, your father, who's your sisters, who's their boyfriends. Do you have cops in the family? Where do you come from? Where does your parents come from? What part of Italy? They look at everything.
And how loyal you are. How loyal you are, how honest you are. You a cheat, a phony, a liar. They look at all of these factors. I have nobody in my family who's ever been in the mafia. So to me, that was, I didn't have anybody like John Gotti had 5 brothers. Right. It's a little easier to get into the life because you have a whole family behind you. I had nobody in the mafia. So you're picked out of, I always say it's like you go pick a pit bull, had a little litter, right? And you go look at that litter. And there's one puppy in there that just won't cry, you could hit him, kick him, pick him up by his ears. He's just a tough little dog. And he's loyal to he'll growl at you. So you pick that puppy. You want that little puppy. And that's what they do with you as a human being. So, it's a process. Yeah. And we used to call them the old foxes. They used to sit around, they knew everything. It was their job to know everything. And when they proposed you to become a made guy or to bring you in that circle, like Larry was and I was, and it's a great honor as a kid. Because I walked around with a tremendous respect. These were the bad guys, my father told me, but they're our bad guys. They protected my father on occasion when people would try to shake him down. So being picked, but I always wanted to stay away because I was always afraid of being used. So this guy Shorty just hit me as, this is the real deal. This is some guy that I could like, that I could love, that I could trust, and I could be loyal to him.
And me, I'm a sucker for loyalty and honesty. I just hate those other qualities and growing up and being around people. So I hooked up with him, and I wound up doing my first piece of work, meaning my first murder, with the Columbo family. And I got into a serious beef with Shorty's brother. I went to his house to kill him. It's a long story. When they heard that, they went bananas on me. But people were there and saw the situation, and Carlo Gambino spoke with the heads of the Columbos. They wouldn't kill me because they thought I was 100% right. But I overstepped my bounds by going to somebody that much higher in a position than me, my boss's brother. So the decision was, let's let him live. The Gambinos will talk of him. We'll let them take him with no restrictions. We love you. We'll always be tight, but we can't keep you two guys together. You're going to kill him. We know it, Sammy. So if you make that one promise that you'll never kill him, you'll never harm him, we'll release you to the Gambinos and stay with your loyalty there and be our friend. I shook their hand. I kissed him on the cheek, and I left with Tato. That's the first day I ever met him. I knew his son growing up. I knew his father was a heavyweight, but that's the guy they put me with, Tato Arello. He was a very powerful captain, well-liked captain. And I sat with this guy. When he got back, he says, I want you by my club every fucking day. We put our reputation on the line for you. I want to know everything you do. I want to know when you steal, when you argue, when you're in a fight, when you get laid. I want to know every fucking thing you do. I want to know every pimple on your ass by the time I'm done. And I would sit with him and smooth for hours and hours and hours, and I got to learn the life. In the Columbo family, Larry could tell you better than me, that it's rough and tumble. Kill this guy, beat this guy up, shoot this guy, do this, do that. The Gambinos, not that they can't kill you, but they were different. They were business-minded, unions, construction, different things. And Tato would smooth with me. Now, he was 30-something years older than me. If he was alive now, he'd be 105, 110. So when he would smooth with me, he would tell me about Lucky Luciano, Vito Genovese, Al Capone. I was fucking dumbfounded. I was a puppy.
Yeah.
The names he was telling me about. So I would go home, my friends would say, we're going to go out tonight. I said, no, not me. Why? Bro, this guy blew my fucking mind. I got to think about this, the things he was telling me. And I learned it, even just, when my dyslexic, I learned it like a sponge. I was like a sponge. I was so impressed with him. Same size, my father, same build, and I actually looked at him like my father. I actually loved the man.
So I got a question for either one of you that could answer this. In our community that we hang around with, the bikers and stuff, you're awarded a road name for a particular reason. Maybe it's the way you look, maybe it's the way you ride, maybe it's something funny that happens to you. The American Mafia is known for some great nicknames, and I know some of them, like, they called John Gotti the Teflon Don. I think the press gave him that one, but there's a lot of really cool,
Well, you got Lucky Luciano.
Yeah,
you got all
the
of
Chin and stuff.
Yeah.
So in the Mafia, how are nicknames, are the handles, or I don't know what you refer to them in the mob, but how are they given? Does the person get to pick them themselves, or is it something that the crew gives you? How are they awarded?
There's a lot of ways.
Tony, two times.
I'll give my quick 2 seconds, because I know Sammy will have a ball with this. Sometimes it's the opposite. Like, we had a guy around us that was dumb as a rock. So his nickname was Joe Brains. Then you have a guy, Jimmy the Blonde. He has black hair, but he's dating a girl that has blonde hair. Crazy. I was legitimate Larry for a while because I wouldn't do all the same. I was more like you, Sam. I was looking to make big money, rackets. They were selling fake credit cards to make $50. I says, I got a bookmaking business. I'm making $10,000, $12,000 a week sometimes, and you want me to go throw it away on a free dinner. And my nickname became Legitimate Larry. So there's different ways. Louie Ha-Ha. How about that one? The guy laughs every time he kills somebody or hears about it. He just laughs. So his nickname became Louie Ha-Ha. Go ahead, Sam. I just thought
You know what I would say? Don't ask me and don't ask Larry. Go ask President Trump. He's got a fucking nickname for everybody. Hoka, Sleepy Joe. I think this guy is a gangster.
Crazy
He makes up nicknames. It just comes out. You know, a lot of times guys will tell me a guy's name. Do you know this name? And I say no. And they say, Sam, you know him good. A lot of times I didn't know the guy's whole real name. I knew him by his nickname.
Right.
Like Sammy Meatballs. The fuck do I know what his last name is? I just knew Sammy Meatballs.
You thought it was Southtie, Sammy Meatballs.
Yeah. To me, that's the way they are. You know, so I don't know, but the mafia has, you know, I got a young woman working for me, young girl, very, very smart. She's doing a lot of my tech work and social media stuff, and she's a little tiny girl. She's 5 feet, maybe a little bit more than 5 feet. And I nicknamed her Peanuts. And she's got this name. It seems like everybody and their mother says, where's Peanuts? Where's Peanuts? I think she's mad at me. She hates the name.
And now it's stuck.
So, I don't know how to do it. Or why we do it. I don't know.
Well, I want to bring up to another point, really, because while you guys, both of you guys are here, throughout the life, you've learned, you've lived, and now you're both on consulting, on movie sets, you're acting, you're bringing your careers to a different level, which when I was speaking to Larry, that makes the movie industry so much more authentic when they have guys like you showing the realism. And that's why there's never really been a failed mafia movie out there or a gangster movie out there, because it's the realism. With your new upcoming ventures, you know, we can really look forward to seeing these and feeling the true to life experiences because of the behind the scenes consulting or the on screen consulting is on screen acting as well. So we definitely look forward to this next upcoming project that you guys are doing. And to see it hit that box office and just break all records, just like the Goodfellas did, and just like the Godfather did. You know, Casino not so much, but
I actually like that movie.
Casino was a good movie, but you know, the Godfather and Goodfellas, you know, they went leaps and bounds about you know, the box office hits, and I'm sure your upcoming venture is going to be the same way, because you're taking on. You know, the book, The Mafia Cops, you're taking on an aspect of life that is rarely portrayed out in the cinema.
These are likely to be TV series.
Okay.
Which is good too, because there's so much content, you can't cram it in 2 hours. Sammy, I mean, we could go on all night with stories if you guys want to stay here till tomorrow.
Hey, as long as Sammy puts me on the project.
And we got the 2 great writers, Nick Pileggi and Terry Winters, so we're in, you know, in good shape with that. So,
hey, Sammy.
I love truth to a story. Goodfellas had a lot of truth in that story. I knew a lot of those people. There was a lot of truth to it. The Sopranos was very well done. I think it was great, but it was 85% Hollywood, 15% the truth. I want to do my life story eventually, but I want to do 85% truth and 15% Hollywood. I'll give you one thing.
Sammy, let me tell you a story real quick while you're on the Soprano thing. And I'm just going to tell you real quick. You know, I was on some wiretaps, and, you know, every Monday morning, I get these 2 guys on the tap talking about the fucking Sopranos, on what they would do and what they wouldn't do.
Must have been Angelo.
No, it wasn't it. I know who he's talking about. It was 2 guys. That was Joey Tinier was one of the guys, right?
I'm not saying no names.
All right, I'm saying it. It was Joey Tinier and another guy. But let me tell you what Hollywood does sometimes. I was doing my book, and there was a girl in there. She, you know, when they put it down, she was drop dead gorgeous. She really wasn't drop dead gorgeous, but she was pretty. So I'm talking about her, and she was, you know, moved around a little bit. So they says, okay, Sammy, we're going to put in the part where you went to bed with her, you had sex with her. So I said, I didn't. I know her. I know her. She's still alive. I didn't have sex with her. But Sammy would look great in a scene. I said, yeah, but it didn't happen. So I said, listen, here's the way I'll do it. Get in touch with her. Let her come down. Let me have sex with her once at least, and then you can do what you want.
Yeah.
all the producers know we can't do that. Well, I can't bullshit and say I have sex with her.
Hey, Sammy, we got a question, another question from the UK. They want, and I guess you can answer this maybe if you want to. They want to know how you got your nickname, the Bull.
When I was a kid, you know, my parents were broke. They bought me a beautiful Schwinn. It was, you know, the premier bike you could buy. And my father says, Sam, you know, we don't have a lot of money. You got to take care of it. Of course, that. I was so proud of this bike. I was about 10, maybe even 9, I don't know. And I go to the grocery store. When I come out, the bike is gone. I'm sick. I didn't even tell my parents. I didn't even know what to say. And my friends, a day or two later, they see the bike on the other corner of the fruit and vegetable store. They tell me, the bike is over there, Sammy. So I ran down the block, and there was kids from the other corner, the other block, who took it. They were older than me. They were like a year or two older than me, 2 of them. And when you're a kid, 10, a 12-year-old, it's, you know, it's dominant. They're dominant. They didn't want to give me the bike back. And I started fighting like a bastard. I was crying, fighting, punching, bleeding. I'm fighting the 2 of them. These mob guys who hung out at the bar across the street, like in Goodfellas, ran across the street, one of them, and he grabs me. What's going on? They knew who my mother and father was, my sisters. So I told them, it's my bike. I'm not giving it back. So one of the other guys yells out, what's going on? He says, he's Jerry and Kay's son. This kid, Sammy. He's fighting for the bike. Look at him. He's like a little bull. That fucking name stuck and never went away. And as a kid, I hated it because my friends would make fun of it. You know, look, you got horns, you got this, but it stuck. And when I got older, when police were looking for me, where's Sammy the Bull? When I got arrested, my name comes in the paper, Sammy the Bull. A couple of times I would lie to women. I would tell them, you know why they call me the Bull? Which wasn't true. It was for that fight.
But at least you got in there.
Yeah. So that's how I got that name, and it stuck.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That is great, man. So when are we looking forward towards this TV series that's coming out? Is it post-production? Is pre-production now? And Sammy, I gotta throw this out there too, because and this is truth. Larry told me to ask you, if you're looking for an ugly organized crime cop to play anybody, just give me a shout, and I'll fly out to you.
All right, but remember, this is a mob movie, and if me and Larry get you in, you got to give us a piece.
I'm in, man. I'm in. I'm in. You just. I'm loyal, brother. I'm loyal.
Oh, that's great. Now, you know, I tell you what, if it wasn't for, you know, the thing that's going on with COVID and everything, we'd be a lot further along because we got a producer, Joe Paletto, that is really bullish on what we're doing. So we're lucky to have him, and I think we're looking at maybe 6 months, Sam.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess, you know, like you hit the nail on the head. With all these riots and these the coronavirus and now with the election, I mean, it's hard to dictate. It just slows everything down. Yeah. And but Joe Paletto is a good man. I mean, and he moves things along. So we'll see.
Where are you guys going to be? Where are you guys going to be filming? New York. You're going to be filming in our.
We're not into the filming stages. We're into the talking with Terry Winters, and I'm looking forward to talking with him and dealing with him. The guy is a genius. I mean, you look at his background, he's a genius. And you know what I really like about him, from what I understand, that he wants truth. He don't want no bullshit. He wants truth. And then he'll do his writing. So I have a very, on their end, they have 5 or 6 cops or something like that telling the story of all the facts. And they didn't have anybody who's on the mob side, a gangster, who knew all what they don't know. And that's the bull. That's me. Who knows that?
And exactly.
And I'm looking forward to helping them with this project and working hard and putting it out. And just like Larry said, you want to watch a movie, and when you know there's a lot of truth to it, it just makes the movie so much better.
Right.
Hey, so let me just add to that. So these 2 writers, they'll start writing a treatment, then a pilot, some episodes. So that's the next step. I know Nick Pileggi is working on a pilot for my book, The Life, as we speak.
When is that?
So I'm sorry?
Is that in pre-production right now?
It's the same thing. It's the same deal as the Mob Cops. The Mob Cops is a little bit ahead. They'll probably come out first, I would think. But like I said, Sammy's going to be a consultant on both of them, so it's exciting all around.
Sounds like 2 awesome projects going out, and plus Sammy's podcast. Like I said, America's always intrigued by the stories, the realism. So I wish you both the best of luck. But I think 12's got another question for you.
Hey, Larry, you remember the conversation that we had about the shoes? There was a picture of the shoes, of a very distinct pair of shoes.
I'm not sure. What am I missing?
Can I share the story about the shoes, your shoes?
Go ahead. I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Okay,
but you can.
So Larry and I became friends on Facebook. And so I'm one of those guys that is interested in the genre. So I'm following his post. And a lot of them, it's fair to say he's definitely a Trump supporter, and he doesn't have much care for the current New York mayor, right?
Yeah.
Thinks he's basically, nobody does. So Larry and some of his friends, and it was on Facebook, it was out there, they were joking about the old days. And someone made a comment about like getting a 36 coupe, and John Dillinger used to drive, right, kind of thing. And someone, I don't know if it was a real picture or not, but I had seen a real picture of Larry somewhere in Florida or whatever, and he was dressed real snazzy, but he had on this particular pair of shoes.
That was at the Emmy Awards.
And it was like, was that where it was at? Well, they were two-toned. I think they were brown and white. They were like very
black
distinct. Black and white. It's been a while since I looked at, but they're very distinct, nice-looking shoes. And if I recall, he had his foot up on the bumper of a car and was taking a picture. It was a nice picture. Well, then fast forward to this conversation that him and some of his buddies are having, and they're talking about the old days and how you would deal with problems in the old days and stuff. And so there was a picture, and again, I don't know if it was real or if someone made it up, but it was like Larry in the pinstripe suit and, and the hat and all that, and again, this conversation was going on about the old days, but I noticed in the picture the shoes. The shoes were the same shoes he had on in the other picture. So I sent him a message. I said, "Hey, just from a former trained observer, when you're talking about that, I said, remember how they got OJ? It was the Bruno Mollies. It was the shoes. Some guy noticed the damn shoes."
You're right, and he's been calling me sweet shoes. That was a good picture. That was, I think the second one was me playing myself on Halloween or something like that. So I had the shoes on again.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That's funny.
Well, guys, we can't thank you enough. We got a break for commercial, but we can't really thank you enough for spending some time with us and sharing the stories. And I wish you, like I said, I wish you both the best of luck with both projects. You got to go check out the book for Larry Mazza, The Life.
Can I give you the website?
Sure, yeah.
It's www.larrymazza-thelife.com.
www.larrymazza-thelife.com. We're going to put that website up and we're going to pin it. We'll also put that on our web pages as well. And Sammy, your podcast, what's the...
Yeah, let me give you the name of that. Go to sammytheball.com/links. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Shop for my merchandise. And you guys, if I don't see you in my fucking T-shirts, I'm really mad. And ask me any questions you'd like on my Instagram.
Awesome. And what is the podcast? When they come to your podcast, what are they expecting to hear from you, and what are they, all about the life? Correct.
When I get to the podcast part, I'm working on it. It's my entire life story from soup to nuts.
Nice.
In stages. Be season 1, episode 1 through 12. Season 2, season 3, and I believe that'll be a paid podcast type of situation. And then there's a lot of people breaking my chops to do an interview or actually a sit-down with Michael Franchise, and I'm getting hundreds of calls. So I'm thinking about that as well, and I'm working on all of these things, even a documentary. So, and that's what takes...
Hey, I'm going to be on the podcast with you sometime, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes, Larry's going to be on with me. Tommy Day is going to be on certain parts of it. So, these guys are my friends for a lot of years. And I love their honesty, their sincerity, and what they are. These guys are real men. And it takes balls sometimes to be a man, walk away and live a life. And I know they take care of their wives, their kids. These are men I'm proud to talk with, be side by side with, any day of the week.
We feel the same way, Sam. Thank you.
Well, you guys can use the 99% Radio Network at any time. You can call in if you have something to promote, if you have something that you want us to get out there to the Texas area, the Dallas area, or actually anywhere in the UK or anywhere in the globe.
That's great.
We will be more than happy to promote and support you in your ventures.
I appreciate it, and I'm going to follow you. If you got a lot of hits because I'm talking, it's going to cost you a lot on the next interview.
Hey, Sammy, our largest audience is actually
for free
in New York, and our second biggest audience over in Europe is in Italy, all around Rome and Naples and Sicily. We have lots of fans over there, especially in the Italian military.
Right.
So.
You asked me a lot of questions about England. You asked me a couple of questions from people from England. And on my podcast, not my podcast, my Facebook, I got a ton of people from England coming on and asking me questions and sending me little messages and stuff like that. And I don't know why, but a lot of people from England seem to...
I may be able to answer that for you a little bit because, being from New York... I grew up, born and raised in New York. I know, you got the families out there. When I moved to Texas, they don't have that here. They don't know about it. They're intrigued by it, but they don't have that here. So it's probably the same thing in England and the UK. They read about it, they see it, they're intrigued by it, but they don't have it. And I'll tell you, Sammy, I know why, and I do this in my comedy routine. I'm going to share with you the reason there's no families here in Texas because, can you picture 3 guys in Armani suits trying to bury a body in the Texas soil? Take you 3 days.
Yeah, sure. I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed at what you told me because I thought it was just that I'm good looking and these women from Texas or the UK are sending me messages. And then, I don't know if you heard the Joe Rogan interview.
No.
I did a little bit on my Instagram. page talk about Joe Rogan, because he was talking about me, and I look at that little interview that I did. It's incredible, and hundreds of people now, matter of fact, thousands of people are calling me. Do something with Michael Franchise. Do something with Joe Rogan. So as soon as they're willing to come on my show, I don't think Joe Rogan wants to come on the show, but I'll come on his show. Who knows?
All right. It sounds like it's going to be a blast. I can't wait till you get that launched, because you will have avid listeners out here. I know for one, I will be one. Supporting both of you on both your ventures.
You guys have been great. You guys have been great, and I appreciate the time you took and you put up with my bullshit. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, you guys be safe, stay well, stay blessed, and good luck.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you coming
very
on.
much.
Thanks for all of you.
And Larry, I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Yes, sir. You got it. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care, guys. All right, man, that was Larry Mazza and Sammy the Bull Gravano. What a great conversation. They have great ventures coming up, man, both of them, with the book and the pilot for Larry's book, and the pilot for the Mafia Cops, the Mob Cops. Looking forward to seeing that in the spring sometime once COVID is over. Or maybe it'll be over November 4th, and they can start production right away.
I won't disrespect them by saying their names now, even though we did it before we had them on the air. But I mean, we know who they are. I'm really anxious to see that special about those cops.
Me too.
You have
me too.
A personal connection to that, but it's going to be interesting to see the whole story about really how dirty they really were,
and they were. If you want to know who the cops' names are, just look up the book Mafia Cops, and this way you'll be able to see
that's
who
how
the cops.
That's how the one got caught.
Yeah,
was writing that damn book.
Mafia Cops. Look up that book, and you'll see the two cops that are going to be portrayed in that. But once again, I can't thank those two guys enough for being with us and sharing that time with us. That was amazing.
Definitely different segment, wasn't it?
And we did run over a little time, so we do have to break, do a quick commercial break. So you are listening to the 99% Radio Network. We'll be back right after this.
That safety comes first, but you don't want to look like your parents are sending you on a bike ride. Here at Micro DOT Helmets, we're focused on lightweight DOT certified helmets that protect and still look great, so you don't have to look like that mushroom from Super Mario. If you do have an accident, we'll ship you a fresh new helmet. Real lifetime warranty, only at Micro DOT Helmets, a veteran-owned business.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
We all know that safety
It's your boy Shauna Don.
What's up? What's up? This your boy Jeremy, aka Trey.
And we are City Boys Entertainment.
That's right, City Boys Entertainment coming at you.
Make sure you say today we got one of the hottest events coming at you on November 14th.
You heard him. Hottest events. Actually, one of the biggest events. A fashion show / concert here in the Dallas area, November 14th. Special guest by my girl Megan Thee Stallion.
Also, Saucy Santana. Make sure you get to the website, purchase them tickets. www.heattherunwaydallas.com.
You heard him. www.heattherunwaydallas.com.
I don't think they did. www.heattherunwaydallas.com.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Fishbowl Radio Network. FBRN.US. Jump in.
And welcome back, everybody. This is 12 and Sideshow, and our guests from Texas Law Tigers have stepped away for just a minute. But Mongo, what a hour and a half that was.
You know, it's different. It's a different world listening to the life of the gangsters from back there, upper echelon gangsters, because we didn't deal with that in California.
Right.
I mean, they had upper echelon, but you never even saw them unless you were a task force, because we just didn't deal with them on a street level. We dealt with the Mexican mafia, the local street gangs, New West Familia. So it was like everybody's a bad guy. There's no respect.
Yeah.
We didn't have the respect. But
you know what I found kind of ironic in listening to them talk is some of the overlap there. You know, like they were brought up in the life. You know, like for me personally, I was brought up in the life of a cop. You know, that's what I was destined to be. My father was a cop. My great grandfather was a cop. My uncle was a cop. My cousin was a cop. That's what men in our family do. They become cops. So you're brought up in that, and you get in there, and when you put your uniform on, you know, you have that sense of pride about who you are. You know your neighborhood. You know, there was I did find it very ironic. There was so many similarities there, although we were on opposite sides. They're you know, we're the cops, they're the robbers, but they're, you know, I was proud. I had honor within their now it's a different kind. Granted, I understand the differences, but you know what I'm trying to say?
No, it's not different. Honor, loyalty, it's all the same.
Yeah, that shit means a lot, and I carries a lot of weight for me, especially the loyalty part and the honor and the pride you get from doing a good job and all of that. And you know, so I was listening intently when they were talking about that. It was just ironic because hey, they were bad guys and they were doing bad things, and here they're talking about the same, or at least a similar value system. You know, that honor amongst one another and that respect. And,
but when you look at it, it's no different. It's no different than, because it's just meeting people on the street, and it depends on who you're with. Yeah, you know, because as a cop, you honor, respect, and have loyalty to your brothers in blue. To your brothers in blue. You know, you look at a 1% club, right? Those 1%ers have loyalty, honor, and respect for their brothers within their own. And the mafia is no different. The mob families are no different. They have loyal, honor, and respect for their own. And, you know, you could have easily crossed the other path if you met somebody on the street. Well, maybe because you're not Italian, but you know what I'm saying? It could have gone a different way. And it's a life, you know, the life chooses you. You don't choose the life, you know, and that's all about it. But let's not waste any more time. Let's talk to TJ. TJ, welcome, and thank you for being so patient throughout this whole day.
Oh, are you kidding? That was fascinating. Good Lord.
TJ's with Law Tigers, and we just had a little commercial break, and I got to find out a little bit more about Law Tigers. Why don't you explain to our listening audience what it's about?
Well, Law Tigers is an association of attorneys that help folks that have been in motorcycle accidents. We do property damage, personal injury, and really that's kind of our niche. That's really all we do. We don't really have much to do at all with DUIs or gun charges or anything like that. Speeding tickets, none of that stuff. We strictly do the accident part of it. We're not the type of attorneys that you have to put on retainer or anything like that. A lot of us are writers. All of us guys on the grassroots side are all definitely writers. So we know what it's like to have those experiences and to have to come up with some type of retainer to retain a lawyer can be pretty difficult. So
especially for some bikers.
yeah.
Right. A lot of us have a lot of money tied up in our bikes, not sitting in the bank necessarily. So we go to work for the rider as soon as they contact us. We will deal with your insurance company. We'll deal with the medical side of it, the billing side of it, all of it. But that's how it works. Something happens, you call us, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. You go to lawtigers.com. We'll route you to the nearest office to you, and we'll go to work for you right away.
And where is your territory? Where do you work?
I cover North Texas. I'm the North Texas guy. We call it Law Tigers Dallas simply because the DFW Metroplex is kind of the biggest area in North Texas. As far as people concentration is, but I cover everything from Abilene, Wichita Falls, all the way over to Tyler, and then down close to Waco, and all the way up to the Oklahoma border.
So I know we've seen you in Arkansas. So where's the reach of Law Tigers as far as where do you guys go?
We're in over 30 states, but we'll cover you just about anywhere in the country. We've got the ability to do that. So the goal is, of course, eventually to have an office, at least one office in every state. Here in Texas, we've got multiple offices because we're so big,
Right.
It's just how it is, bigger and better.
Plus, you're right. Most guys here, right, 12 months a year. So there's a lot of coverage that needs to be needed.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got lots of coverage for you anywhere in the United States. In fact, I've got folks that were here from DFW that got in an accident up in Idaho, and we're helping those folks out. So we'll take care of you wherever you are.
Now, the big thing during the commercial break you brought up, which is I guess an important facet in this, because I was under the misconception about insurance and what Law Tigers is all about. So even though you have, no matter what insurance company you go through that insures your bike, Geico, Progressive, whatever it is, Allstate, State Farm, whatever, the first call in an accident or a property damage case, you should call Law Tigers before you make that phone call to your insurance company.
Yeah, we recommend that you call us right away so that we can get the ball rolling for you. Like I said, we'll deal with the insurance company for you. And a lot of times, if you're in an injured state, you might not remember exactly what happened, or you might misstate it or something like that. So, of course, we want to protect the rider and make sure that they're getting the right representation and the right stories getting out there so that they're protected. And that's really what we're about, is taking care of riders.
It's just like gun owners who go through certain lawyers that if they are involved in a shooting or if they pull their gun, they want you to make sure you call them first before you make any statements, before you put yourself in a place where you shouldn't be put in. And we all know what insurance companies do. They try to give you the least amount or pay out as minimal as possible. So what you say to your insurance company, it goes on the record from the very beginning, and it could be,
Absolutely.
And like you said, could be something that could be deemed not insurable.
Yeah, and it's generally not anybody's fault. If you guys have been riding a while, which I know you have, you probably had some experience going down. Part of our pride as riders sometimes is popping up and saying, "Hey, I'm okay," when in reality you might not be. And sometimes if we say that to an insurance company, "Oh, everything's cool, I'm fine," and then the next day we find out that we've got broken ribs or we've got something else going on, then we've already been on record saying, "Hey, nothing's wrong." So that's why we say make sure and contact us first so that we can get the ball rolling for you. We'll help you with with all the representation that you need.
Now, typically, like you said, no retainer needed, right? No retainer. So it's kind of is it kind of a pay as you go, or is the rates? How are the rates?
We'll continue to work for you until your case is resolved. We either win your case and or settle, and then at that point we'll settle up on the back end. We don't require anything up front or during the process. A lot of times, you're in the process of healing. You've got a lot of things going on. The last thing that we want you worried about is having to pay a bill to us until everything's taken care of. And a lot of times, we're, like I said, we take care of the medical side of it and the billing side of it. A lot of times we're able to get some of those bills reduced, which will help the rider out quite a bit. And that's why we save the settling for the very end.
Now, I know some, depending on your insurance. Now, some insurance companies and some policies cover legal fees.
I suppose that's probably true. Yeah.
If some cover towing fees, some cover attorney fees, depending on what it is. Would that be in your case? If your insurance, if that's the policy you had, would you be able to get it covered through the insurance?
I suppose if that's something that's in your policy that could get looked at, that's something that your attorney would go over with you.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's good, because people do worry about, oh my God, I can't afford an attorney. Yeah. I can't, and like 12 was saying, I can't, this is just too much money. I don't know if I'll be able to afford it. You guys spell everything out, and then you settle up at the back end.
Yeah, everything is on the tail end of it, and of course you're involved in the process the entire way. We take care of you. We keep you informed. It's a process sometimes. I had an accident. I guess we're going on 2 years ago. I got hit from behind, and that's a case that's still ongoing. So sometimes it can be a little bit longer. Sometimes it's quick and easy. It varies from case to case, but we'll handle it and take care of it the way that we need to, and get you the best result we can.
Are you guys like the Hammer? $275,000 in his pocket. No,
that's always a great thing, but you never know what's going to happen. Besides, I mean, I'm way too good looking for that. We're way too talented to be, up there hollering on the TV.
But one thing that separates you from most attorneys is that you specialize in this. This is all you do. So you know the laws verbatim, the ins and outs, and that whenever you're looking for an attorney, you want someone who specializes in the field that you are involved in. So motorcyclists wouldn't want to go through some civil attorney, or you wouldn't want to go through hey, my friend recommended this guy because he did our divorce case, to handle your motorcycle accident. You want to go through a company that specializes in motorcycle accidents.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of advantage to going to somebody who has a specific field like we do. Like I said, a lot of us are riders, so we've been through that experience on a personal level, myself included. The attorneys, like you said, know the ins and the outs. A lot of times they have insight as to how the court system internally works, and that helps a rider's case a lot of times as well, because we can kind of plan out which judge we're going to go in front of and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of advantage to having someone who specializes like this. I liken it to a doctor. Let's say that you have a brain tumor or something. You're not going to go to your podiatrist for that, or your general practitioner. You're going to look for the best brain doctor that you can find. And Law Tigers is kind of that brain doctor when it comes to motorcycle accidents and taking care of those for you.
Like when you say a lot of you guys ride. So, just to throw this out there, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. So, when we talk about the ins and outs of the law, you also know, reaction time. You also know, the different components of the motorcycle, where your front brake, your back brakes, and the maneuvers that you could have do or you cannot do. The layman out there, the layman attorney who's never been on a bike, doesn't know the capabilities of a motorcycle rider.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's something we deal with all the time. like I said, you want somebody that has that experience. And it's funny you bring that the idea of safety and how bikes work out, because that's actually one of the other things that Law Tigers does a lot of work on, is talking to folks in the riding community about taking riding courses, taking the safety courses, taking the advanced courses. Also wearing your gear, making sure your bike is maintained. Those are all things that we look at in every case as well. You know, if we know that the rider's had a really well-maintained motorcycle, has taken all these safety courses, and was still involved in an accident that wasn't their fault, we can promote that in the case, showing that the rider did everything that they could do to try to avoid it, and still ended up in that position. So we just try to be a resource to the community, the riding community as a whole. We specialize in the accidents, but there's so much more that we do beyond that with regard to rider safety, events, and all that kind of thing too.
When you talk about accidents, and since you're in that field, I know left turn, got vehicles that are making left turns out into the street are usually the majority of the accidents. Do you find that to be true, or is there another thing that bikers out there should look out for?
I think that's a big thing. I think it goes hand in hand with folks being on their cell phones, for one, and folks just not being aware and taking that extra second to look again before pulling out, like you're talking about. There's a huge number of accidents every year that happen, just like you said. The other one that we see primarily is rear end collisions from people who are on their cell phones, not paying attention. We had one the other day that a guy was in his neighborhood, almost home, went to make a right turn. His wife's on the back of the bike, and the guy in the car behind him turned around to say something to his kid in the back seat. Never even saw the rider and hit them from behind. So it just takes a split second for something like that to happen. A little bit of inattention can be catastrophic. So yeah, those are the two that I think we see the most: the rear ends and people pulling out.
How about road debris and potholes?
Well, yeah, over here in DFW, we got us some potholes, that's for sure. With all the rain and stuff that we've had here lately, too, it's difficult to see them. But yeah, those happen. You know, they can bend a rim. They can certainly cause an accident.
Caused a fatal one on one of the. There was a ride over, and I won't say who put it on. I'm pretty sure there's probably some litigation going on, but they were one of the riders was coming home, and at the interchange where George Bush and 35 meet. They were going to go north on 35 and hit a big pothole. It was a lady rider, and that was all she wrote.
You know, and one thing I'm fearful when I ride is the ruts in the road.
Yes.
You know, they do these gradings for traction for cars. You don't think the construction companies really put the motorcyclists' well-being in the thought process, because some of those ruts are almost as thick as your tire, and if you get caught in one of those, once again, like you said, game over.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, especially here in North Texas. The riding conditions can vary so widely. You really have to be a pretty skilled rider, and that's another reason we tell you to take as many courses as you can and practice as much as you can.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, TJ. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other advice you can give? Let's get about your website.
The website is lawtigers.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, Law Tigers Dallas, Texas. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. You know, with COVID going on, one of the big things that I do is events, going out and meeting people and talking to them on the grassroots level about what we do and who we are. With COVID, that's been kind of a slow going thing. So we're in the holiday season. I mean, we really are. Halloween's this weekend. So with the toy runs and all the other stuff going on, if you have something going on out there and you'd love us to come out and participate or support you in some way, we'd love to do that. Reach out to me on one of those sites. You can also email me directly, thomas@lawtigers.com, and we'd be glad to come out and help you out. If you have questions about motorcycle safety, what gear to wear, where some of the best rides are, where some of the best biker restaurants and all that kind of stuff are.
We're gonna be handling those segments once COVID's over. We're gonna start doing bikers, boobs, and bars. And, we'll be checking. But I do have a question. You just brought up a great point on the rides. All the toy rides are coming in now. A lot of bikers will just go sign up, and they feel that the ride advertises escorted ride or unescorted ride.
Sure.
That makes a big legal difference, or does it give the rider a full sense of security of being covered?
You mean if it's an escorted ride?
If it's an escorted ride.
I think it's a good thing anytime you can be on an escorted ride, simply because the police presence there mitigates the traffic in some.
But does that put liability on anybody, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, are you saying that if it's an escorted ride, that
say a car breaks through or doesn't obey? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
you can't really put that on the cops for not being the police officers for not.
Or
being
the private escorts. A lot of private escorts too.
There's a lot of those as well that work on contract. You can't hold them completely responsible, I don't think, because they're providing a service and they're not able to build the wall around the ride.
Right.
So,
no, I agree. It's just
so that kind of stuff.
It's just things that come up, and people go, "Well, if it's not an escorted ride, I'm not going."
I like escorted rides simply because I do think they offer a little bit more protection for the riders. I did one this past weekend that was unescorted. It was a poker run, and people could come and go at their leisure. And I love those too, because you can take your time. There's no requirement to saddle up and be ready to go in 5 minutes. It's a little more relaxed and a little more fun, but there's definitely benefit and good time to be had for both. And of course, all those rides usually benefit some type of charity, and usually revolves around kids, and sometimes guys like us, veterans and first responders, and we love that.
I don't know if you remember this one or not, TJ, but just because they're escorted doesn't always mean they're safer.
No, you're right.
We went on the Sikh Riders, right?
Yep,
SROA.
sure do. Yeah.
We were riding with the Sikh Riders on their annual ride 2 years ago, and coming down, I think it was 20. And there was a Dallas PD escorted ride going the opposite direction. And as we passed, there was a nasty accident. One bike went down, other bikes piled up over the top of it, and it was a fatal.
Well, that's why I kind of brought that up, because people are under the misconception on an escorted and unescorted ride. Some people think, since it's escorted, that the liability falls on the escort service or the police department providing the escort. And you know what? We wanted to make that clear that it doesn't. It's a safer ride, but liability still remains with the rider.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, it's definitely not the fault of the whatever police department was in charge of that. Most of the rides these days, they'll have you sign a waiver before you get out there, and there's a reason for that. It's to mitigate the liability of the folks
running the ride,
and the escorts involved and all that kind of stuff. Because as you guys know, as riders, it's unpredictable out there. You never know what's going to happen. And I've seen cases where a truck blows a tire and the tire comes flying across the other side of the highway. There's no way to mitigate that. They'll have waivers and such in most cases, and we all know that there's a little bit of inherent risk, and that's why Law Tigers is in the business that we're in.
Excellent. All right. Well, TJ, thank you so much, man. And thank Law Tigers for protecting our motorcycle community. We do appreciate that. We've pinned it on our post. We will definitely share that on our page. So if you do have any questions, but the main thing is to make sure you call Law Tigers first before you call your insurance company. They will handle it from there. They will give you the right guidance. They will give you the right things to do, and if you're injured in it, they will make sure that you are taken care of. So give Law Tigers in your area a call. They're in 30 different states nationwide. You probably have a website, lawtigers.com. Lawtigers.com. Find out more about them. But right now,
and remember these very nice sweatshirts and t-shirts. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Without further ado, once again, we have to go into the most important segment of our show.
Hey, you know what? You know, with Mongo's recent issue and all, we're going to have to do a Ron Burgundy on him. You know, right?
Oh, Ron Burgundy.
Well,
God,
because I'm on
with
a
the
teleprompter.
Oh, with the teleprompter.
Because he'll read anything.
Yeah. Well, I should have changed some of those words in there next time. We got. I should have put, I'm voting for Biden. All right, with no further ado, the monologue. Would have been funny.
Mongo! Santa Maria! I'll believe it. And maybe one of you friends and neighbors kind of gather around and holy shit! Here comes Mongo.
All right. Well, hey, so today is going to be the first time that I'm actually working off of a teleprompter, which is probably going to be a good thing. But as I've been going through this thing, I've already seen some mistakes that I made because my brain is still not right yet. But I'm going to do the best I can. So hopefully this teleprompter will do the job for me. And so let's give this a shot. And I'll tell you this about the monologue. When I started working on this thing, I was going to go in a totally different direction than where I ended up going. But as I got into it, it just got me going in a different direction. So I was like dumbfounded by the stuff that I found. So here we go. And let me push the start button here and
Watch your speed.
Yeah, I know. Go real slow. Former Vice President Joe Biden's loyalists have spent 2 years holding their breath, certain that he could say something disqualifying at any moment. Today, they're exhaling with equal parts of relief and amazement. The truth is, for Biden's history, and let me get this thing going, of veering outside the lines and putting his foot in his mouth, he's navigated the most uneventful and unscrutinized political climate, at least related to him in history, without putting himself in real jeopardy. Some of this, of course, does... Hang on.
We didn't have this problem when I handed the pages to you.
Yeah, well, I'm going with technology, dude.
Come on there, Groggy Greg.
You're a dinosaur.
We're going to call him Groggy Greg from now on.
Has to do with the sheltering strategy that has kept the Democratic nominee out of sight for long stretches of the race. The basement that Trump...
See?
Yeah, well, I'm telling
Call me
you.
dinosaur, buddy.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Call me dinosaur.
I know.
You can use your finger to scroll back and forth.
The basement has been a protective layer from which Biden has run a textbook referendum campaign, keeping the focus of the incumbent, not keeping the focus on the incumbent and not on himself. Fortunately, for candidate Biden, the president is a man who cannot bear to see the spotlight on anybody but himself. Biden's stated goal is restoring the soul of America. That's an inflated campaign promise if there ever was one. What many voters are praying for he can do is restore some balance to American politics. This, however, might be his biggest mistake. People are tired of the usual politics and the way things are supposed to be done. What people want are results, and most don't care if Yeah, I wrote this in a total fog last, or I proofread it in a fog last night. Hey, I still apologize for the stroke because it's got me in a fog. So I will try to tell you what I meant. Let me, this is horrible.
Don't worry about it, brother.
It's actually, here we go. It's actually refreshing to hear a politician or a man masquerading as a politician just speak like a regular person. For the people who support Joe Biden, they're looking forward to American politics as it used to be. No more reality show in the White House. No more living on a knife's edge with every presidential tweet. No more conspiracy theories from the commander-in-chief. Personally, I'm tired of the expected politics as normal. In my opinion, it's refreshing for a president to call out some of these political frauds and open the curtain, exposing their bullshit. In one sense, Biden is a natural fit for these times. He's always been edgy and provocative in his own right. An old school scrapper who kept... Hang on.
Apparently, he was working on the ending of it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm Mongo. I drink whiskey.
The whiskey part was great.
Yeah.
An old school scrapper who kept a chip on his shoulder. Sometimes it went too far, even at points in this 2020 campaign, like when he challenged a mouthy. I wrote Mouthy Island. I don't know what I meant by that. I think it's a mouthy person in the audience to a push-up contest, or went nose to nose with a Michigan auto worker, or questioned the blackness of any African American who wouldn't vote for him. Biden showed flashes of his primal self. He stirred echoes of the very president he is vowing to defeat. Biden is a glass of warm milk to put us to sleep. As it turns out, that's exactly what half of America apparently wants. I'm not there, however. I still want the edgy, unpredictable voice in the White House that will call people out and say shit like it really is. In 2016, the electorate wanted someone to rock the boat. Americans elected Donald Trump.
Keep going, brother.
I heard that beep. I thought that was me. Here we are now in 2020 and have an electorate that wants to go back to politics as usual. I, however, not part of that group. It's easy to forget, but Joe Biden used to be a punchline that very few people took serious as a major political candidate. In 2008, he couldn't surpass Bill Richardson in the polls, never exceeding 5% support, and Biden dropped out after the Iowa caucuses. Barack Obama single-handedly changed the course of Biden's career, and after standing next to the most popular politician in America for 8 years, Biden has finally gained the mainstream appeal he never was able to assemble on his own. As he officially launched his presidential campaign while leading in tons of polls, in my opinion, it's very sad to say that Biden has emerged as the leading candidate from the Democratic Party to run for president this year. Again, in my opinion, Biden is a walking gaffe machine. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say if it's because of the early onset of Alzheimer's disease, plain stupidity, or he's just an angry old man that opens his mouth and engages without thinking. Biden has a long and distinguished history of misstating the facts, or more likely misremembering what actually happened. If the so-called, I gotta slow this thing down. If the so-called comedians at Saturday Night Live were actually funny, they could ride Biden and his gaffes into retirement laughing all the way. During one interview, Joe Biden said, "I'm going to make sure that we rejoin the Paris Peace Accord on day one." Biden apparently forgot that the Paris Peace Accord was a treaty ending the Vietnam War that was signed during his first year in the Senate. What the presidential candidate meant was the Paris Agreement on climate change. Let's just chalk that up to senior moment. Or Biden reliving the good old days. During an interview in North Carolina about the state of North Carolina, he was asked by a reporter about his campaign in North Carolina. Biden said that he and Barack both won North Carolina in 2008 and 2012. Unfortunately, the facts don't line up with his memory because North Carolina was not won by Barack Obama and Joe Biden in 2012. Surprisingly enough, John McCain won North Carolina in 2012. Facts, however, are pesky things, and they can interfere with the memory of an old man who has lived through a lot of history. Oftentimes, those pesky facts interfere with Biden's memory of what actually happened. There are times when Biden doesn't even know where he went to college. Biden went to the University of Delaware and Syracuse University College of Law. He did not, in fact, attend the historically black college Delaware State like he claimed. Carlos Holmes, director of the news service for Delaware State, said when Mr. Biden made the statement that Joe Biden never meant to imply that he attended Delaware State. He went on to say that Had Joe Biden attended Delaware State, he would have been proud of it, but he didn't, and that's just not what he meant. He went on to clean up the statement by saying that Joe Biden has a long association with historically black colleges and universities, but not making a claim that he attended Delaware State University. So in the future, when we are listening to a Biden speech, we're going to have to wait until his remarks are clarified by his minders, who have a better understanding of what he meant as opposed to what he actually said. Since we're talking about his time at Syracuse State University School of Law, he had to repeat his first year of class after initially flunking him for copying at least 5 pages from a published law review article. Apparently, Joe forgot that plagiarism is frowned upon while attending a renowned university. Biden has a history, however, of doing just this. He has been accused of lifting entire sections of speeches from others for his own use without attribution. The problem of plagiarism has been following Biden around since the summer of 1987. During his first bid for president of the United States, Biden delivered an economic speech under the slogan, "Build Back Better." Unfortunately for Joe, he did not come up with that slogan. The United Nations did. Joe Biden and his campaign plagiarized the title directly from the United Nations Climate Change Initiative launched in April. In fact, Biden's released economic plan seemed eerily similar to President Donald Trump's America First message. It's also important to note that he's been accused before of lifting entire sections of speeches from others for his own use without attribution, and of copying almost word for word policy platforms of other candidates. At one time in history, reporters actually did their job. Reporters dug deep and found that Biden also stole excerpts from Neil Kinnock, then Britain's Labour Party leader. Biden lifted Mr. Kinnock's closing speech with phrases, gestures, and lyrical Welsh syntax intact for his own closing speech. As reporters dug deeper, they found more. Biden didn't just steal Kinnock's political rhetoric, he appropriated his life story, including a coal mining grandfather. This was worse than it looked. Kinnock's Welsh grandfather did work in the mines. Biden's, although he lived in Pennsylvania coal country, sold cars. Biden was apparently under the impression that since Britain was so far away, nobody would realize that this was somebody else's life and had already been spoken about publicly in a speech. Biden has been copying and repeating speeches during his entire political career. I'm not even going to get into the topic that he's done about John Kennedy, copying that he's done about John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. Biden is a 47-year career politician, an empty suit, willing to say and do anything to fulfill his personal political ambitions. The original Saturday Night Live TV crew would have a field day and make a career out of bumbling Joe Biden. Unfortunately, the current Saturday Night Live crew is too political and don't have the comedy balls to make fun of this moron. Getting back to Joe Biden's speech gaffes, Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. were both assassinated in 1968, but Joe Biden remembers them being assassinated in the late 70s. But when you're the golden child of the news media who would call you out on distorting historical facts like assassinations of two prominent figures in United States history. Donald Trump gets a lot of flack for typos in his tweets, but Biden makes up words that don't exist. I watched the montage of Joe Biden using the same word incorrectly. You would think that after the first time somebody on his team would take him off to the side and do something to reset his brain. Someone from his team needs to tell him that exponentially isn't a word. Biden continues to try to use the word exponentially, but can neither say the
That's
word.
easy for you to say.
Just like you're saying it now.
I'm messing up on smaller words, right? Because the smaller words are getting me. He can neither not say the word or has no idea what the word actually is and continues to incorrectly say exponentially. Sometimes his gaffes are just too complicated to even try to describe, which is probably why the media just ignores them, because they would sound like complete idiots like him to even try. As many times as I've listened to the clip of him talking about I'm still confused on what he's talking about when it comes to capital gains tax. He said he would eliminate the capital gains tax and in the same sentence would raise the capital gains tax with the highest tax rate of 39.5%. Then he would double it. As many times as I tried to make sense of it, I could not. And then he talked about why in God's name should someone who is flipping coupons in the stock market pay a lower tax rate than someone who is a school teacher or a firefighter? Dude, I have an education. I'm not a genius, but I'm not an idiot. And I played these clips over and over again, trying to understand what he was talking about. It's just so confusing and so messed up, I begin to feel stupid and just gave up. Sometimes it's difficult to follow what a politician is saying. Today is probably why they get away with the shit they get away with. So how do you know if a politician is pulling bogus numbers out of the air to promote his or her policies?
His lips are moving.
Oh. 3 minutes. For one, when you claim your policy will put more people to work than the current population, this would be a clue. Despite the U.S. population of only 330 million people, Biden says child tax credit would put 720 million women back into the workforce. I do have a college degree, however, and I did not take a class on politics and their bullshit math. It isn't often that a politician tells the complete truth and is a straight shooter, but I think Biden made a mistake when he admitted that his health care plan is not quality and will increase premiums. As a world leader, you do have to know a lot of other world leaders. But how does someone running for president not know that who Boris Johnson is? Joe Biden at a town hall meeting was telling the crowd, I know every one of these leaders except I don't know the new Prime Minister of England. He looks like Donald Trump, but I don't know his name. While I was doing my research for this monologue, I came across this tidbit and just couldn't believe what I was reading. Joe Biden tells a story about putting a silver star on an elderly Navy captain in Afghanistan. It was a new iteration of a story he's told many times that just happens to be completely not true. Rather than admit on the air when he was called out on it, he defended the lie by saying Central Point was correct. Instead of calling him on his Central Point comment, it was allowed to stand and he wasn't questioned beyond that. Biden told the crowd at Dartmouth College during his time as vice president, he traveled to Kunar province in Afghanistan to award a combat medal to a U.S. Navy captain who had rappelled 60 feet down a treacherous cliff to retrieve a fallen comrade's body. Poised to pin a silver star on the serviceman's uniform, in Biden's version, he stopped when the sailor told him, I didn't deserve it. He said, sir, I don't want the damn thing. Do not put that on me, sir. I'm sorry?
We got to wrap it up. We're almost out of time. Sorry.
Oh, well, it's a great story.
Sorry, we're just running out of time.
Hey, you know what, though? I'm going to tell you, screw that. Great respect, brother. You powered through it. You got to, you got to get some issues. You got to working with the technology.
New teleprompter, the whole bit. But we got to push along, and I do apologize.
But much respect for powering through.
Yes, and you know what? End it really quick with your go-to.
Here we go to the very end here, and it would have been a while. All right. And that, my friends, is that. My name is Mongo. I drink whiskey, I smoke cigars, and I know things. Mongo is out.
And getting onto that whole thing, real quick before we end this, if you go to check out the Tucker interview, that was pretty epic last night. So check out the Tucker interview, and you will be set straight. I want to thank TJ from Law Tigers for being here today. I want to thank Larry Mazza and Sammy the Bull Gravano for calling in from their locations on Skype and sharing some great stories with us. And don't forget to check out the book, The Life, and look for their upcoming projects, their film projects. They should be up and coming out this spring. 12, anything? Nope. Nothing?
I'm good.
Mongo, anything?
Negative.
All right. Anything to follow up there, TJ?
No, just thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, I do want to remind people, go to our Facebook page, give a vote to Doug Brown for the motorcycle contest. Go to
Shiner?
Go to Shiner.
Bikers Against Bullying.
Against Bullying. Go vote for him. Let's get one of these two guys the bike build.
Yep. Okay.
Todd Monaghan as well, because he hit me up first.
Monaghan?
I think that's how you pronounce it. Is that how you pronounce it?
Monaghan?
Monaghan, Monegon?
I don't know.
Todd? Anyway.
Todd. Yeah, I don't know. You're asking me how to do names.
He's
I'm
from
lucky
back
with
east.
I'm like Cornonis. I'm lucky with that. All right. This is the 99% Radio Network, broadcasting from Fishbowl Radio Network. And until next week, stay blessed, stay well, and remember, today is not the day to give up. Take care.